Good morning, everyone. Welcome. It's Tuesday. Welcome to What? I see Cape Socialist is already up in the comments section. He's been in there for like a good minute. So good to see you. You are first today. Congratulations. Good job. I love being first in the comments section. Sometimes it's my favorite. Sometimes I'm just like, I'm not saying shit today, but most of the time I'm like first. So good morning, Brandy. Good to see you this morning. Of course, there's the kitties again. I am super tired today. I did not get to sleep until get your bum out of the TV. Like, we've only been live for a few minutes. YouTube is going to whoop my ass. Jesus Christ. Putting your bum up in there, making this NSFW on YouTube. Oh, Miss Kitty. Yeah, I'm super tired today. I did not. Oh, yes, you did just finish watching. Willie just finished watching his show. You guys got to go check it out. I was watching it this morning while I was getting all this stuff ready. So good to see you again, Willie. Good to see you back over here. Go check out Willie Bragg's show on YouTube. Other than that, I did not want to wake up this morning. I really didn't. I really did not want to get up this morning at all. I was like procrastinating on whether or not, like, I'm like, am I going to do a show today? Yeah, I got to do a show today. Okay, I just got to do it. Just get up and just do it. You know, like how that feeling is. You're like, I don't want to do it, but you just get up and you do it anyway. That was me. Brandy here. I'm second. That's right. So, what have I been doing? I guess I didn't do too much yesterday, just some work, getting the clips released yesterday. That was a lot of fun. Played some more games with my friends, killing bugs and stuff like that. It's been a lot of fun. We've been hanging out and getting a lot of stuff done. I'm like playing the game so much that I'm starting to get to a point where like I'm dreaming about it. So it's been fun though. Oh, babies. That's how you feel about work every day. Right. No, I get that. I used to dream about work as well. So I totally understand. Good morning, DPRK. Good to see you. Welcome back. Thanks for stopping by again. You're like starting to become a normal around here, or what I like to call a regular. It's pretty awesome. Thank you for stopping by. I do have a few things that we could talk about today. A lot of videos, a lot of pretty decent amount of videos. That way we can just kind of, I want to, like, the next couple days is holiday stuff, and I've got so many things on my mind that I don't want to, overwork myself this week. So I figured we just kind of chill out, watch some videos, talk in between, do all that fun stuff. My mom is on her way to come grab my kid today. So this is going to be interesting. She's not ready. I'm trying to get my mom to come into the house right now because under construction. You type in, I've told my mom to come in right now, and it's come, and then I put a period by accident afterwards, and then in, and apparently that's a website, and it's under construction right now. Good to know. But yeah, figured I'd just take it easy today. I don't feel like working too hard. I got a couple of things from Democracy Now! You guys were all talking, a couple of you guys were talking about the World Cup yesterday. So Spectrum Internet sucks ass, about to go back from lunch. Thank you for stopping by. The World Cup was this week. So I think Democracy Now! Did a really good job about talking about not just the event itself, but like what's happening out in Qatar, the forced labor, all of that stuff. Decided to get political with it because, I'm not much of a sports ball person. So figured if I'm going to get involved in sports and on my show, I might as well throw a little bit of politics in there with it. So, we're going to add some politics. She also did a really good a piece on the come in on the hey enough, God, one of you guys go and stop. Stop. Oh my gosh. Will somebody answer that, please? Oh my God. So anyway, as I was saying, good to see you. Thanks for stopping by. My house is about to be fucking wild for the next 5 minutes, you guys. I am so sorry. So why don't we get started on the Qatar World Cup, because you guys are not going to be able to hear me here in a second. That my house is about to get fucking wild. So I am really, really sorry ahead of time. Shit. Let's get started on the World Cup. This is Democracy Now! Talking about it. Amy Goodman. I decided I'd get a little bit of politics into the World Cup part. Since I'm going to be covering sports, I wanted to cover a little bit of politics as well. She says in here, as the World Cup begins, we look at the host country of Qatar's labor and human rights record. She says this is the deadliest major sporting event ever, possibly ever in history. Who describes how 2 million migrant workers from the world's poorest countries have faced deadly and forced labor conditions working on the $2 billion infrastructure. Thanks, Willie. Yeah, my mom's here, so sorry about that. It's about to get a little bit wild. So we will get started on watching this, and yeah, let's do it.
Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. We're broadcasting from Cairo, Egypt, after the UN Climate Summit in Sharm el-Sheikh. But we're going to look now at the 2022 World Cup, which started Sunday in Qatar, with fans from around the globe attending the month-long soccer or football tournament. This is the first time the games will be played in the winter due to Qatar's extreme summer temperatures. Qatar's the first country in the Middle East to host the World Cup. It won its bid to host the games a decade ago in December 2010, shortly before the Arab Spring protests erupted. The small nation draws its wealth from sales of liquefied natural gas, hosts the forward headquarters of the U.S. Military Central Command. Today, the teams of England, Wales, Belgium, Denmark, Germany, the Netherlands, Switzerland announced their captains will not wear armbands during the World Cup games in support of LGBTQ rights, after tournament organizer FIFA said players who wear the bands will be sanctioned. Homosexuality is illegal in Qatar. Human Rights Watch found that as recently as September, Qatari security forces had arrested and abused LGBT people in detention. This comes as Qatar and FIFA have faced years of protest over conditions faced by migrant workers subjected to forced labor to build its stadiums. On Saturday, the FIFA president, Gianni Infantino, opened a news conference in Doha, Qatar, with a stunning hour-long monologue.
Today I feel Qatari. Today I feel Arab. Today I feel African. Today I feel gay. Today I feel disabled. Today I feel a migrant worker.
So that's FIFA President Gianni Infantino speaking Saturday. He also
said somebody was saying this morning, they were showing this, and I guess what's that New Yorker senator guy, Cuomo? Didn't Chris Cuomo or one of the Cuomo brothers do something like this, where like he's all, today I feel disabled, today I feel black, today I feel all this, and like the FIFA guy is doing the exact same thing. I think it's virtue signaling. I really don't. How is he going to say that when, Qatar, the place that they're having the World Cup, literally, hangs people that are LGBTQ plus. So yeah. And they're like, I feel this today and I feel that today. It's so funny. Holly, good morning. You sent me a video about the World Cup in Slack. Awesome. We will cover it right after this one.
FIFA would establish a legacy fund after the World Cup to compensate workers and their families who faced abuse and even death while building the World Cup stadiums in Qatar. This is a former migrant worker named Hari, featured in a report by Human Rights Watch.
When I went to Lusail in Qatar, there was nothing. There wasn't even a single building. Now there are towers everywhere. We built those towers. In the heat, we worked out of compulsions with face covers. We were drenched in sweat. We poured water sweat from our shoes. Even in that heat, we worked hard. My son did not recognize me when I first came from Qatar to Nepal. My son's aim is to play football, so I went to watch him play for a little bit. I met my son only 5 times in the 14 years I was away. I used to cry and feel bad that I had to stay away from children for work.
A multi-country investigation by The Guardian found between 2010 and 2020, almost 6,500 migrant workers from India, Pakistan, Nepal, Bangladesh, and Sri Lanka have died in Qatar. This is Nanda Kali Nepali, whose husband was one of those deaths.
My husband used to work as a driver. He used to come for 2 months every 2 years. This time, only his dead body came 4 years after he had last visited Nepal. What would he say? He used to say, I will work here till I can. We have loans we need to repay. My husband was my source of support. Without him, who do I rely on? I sit and I cry on my own. Whom can I show my tears to?
For more, we're joined by Minky Worden. She's Director of Global Initiatives at Human Rights Watch. She's been researching human rights violations around the World Cup. Her article for Newsweek is headlined, "The World Cup is Exciting, Lucrative, and Deadly." Minky, welcome back to Democracy Now! Just lay out what you have found.
So for starters, this is the deadliest major sporting event possibly ever in history. It's scheduled to be watched by 5 billion people worldwide. But fans of football or soccer absolutely cannot forget the high human cost to deliver this World Cup, and that it takes place against a backdrop of completely unacceptable discrimination against LGBT people, a lack of protections for women's rights. Qatar has a male guardianship system, and of course, a lack of press freedom to investigate migrant labor abuses. You mentioned at the outset that FIFA has committed to a legacy fund. There's no indication right now that that legacy fund will actually go to the thousands to the families of thousands of migrant workers who lost their lives to deliver this World Cup.
So talk about what you understand, how the system works. From 2010 to 20, something like 6,500 workers died in Qatar, not necessarily all of them building the stadiums, but many. Explain what the illegal loans and debt bondage system for workers in Qatar is, and why Qatar is saying they've changed their system.
Well, Qatar has passed some modest labor law improvements, but they have not gotten rid of the kafala system. The kafala system was in place in 2010 when FIFA awarded the World Cup to Qatar, and it has continued through to today. What this is it's a system of modern day slavery. It has features like
Yo, what's up, Les Bones? What's up, Shake and Bacon? Bye, Mom. Bye, Samira. Give me a kiss. I love you. Fine, whatever. What's up, Shake and Bacon? What's up, Les Bones? Good to see you guys. Okay, I'm back. My mom is gone now. She just took the kids, so now I'm good to go. Okay, good to see you. Good morning, Holly. The square emojis. Okay, good to know. God damn it, fucking StreamYard, always messing up the emojis. You're here just like the stream, or you're just here to like the stream and say hi. You're cooking lunch and we'll be listening for a little bit. What's up, dude? Good to see you. Yeah, 5 billion people. It's nuts.
in the case of many workers, they had to take out loans to work in Qatar. So these could be loans from anywhere from $700 to 4,000 US dollars, but that would be a crushing loan that you would have to work in some cases for years to repay. Some of the saddest cases that Human Rights Watch has seen are families where the main breadwinner, a young man, went to Qatar, took out a loan to work there, worked in debt bondage, was cheated of wages, did not receive the wages he was promised, and then his body returned home to his family in a coffin. So these cases, these are utterly preventable labor rights abuses. And one other major point, the reason this has happened is in 2010 and still today, there are no trade unions. Trade unions for migrant workers are illegal. And also there's no striking. So it's illegal to strike. So even if you are working in deadly conditions.
So not only is it poor conditions, they have to pay back the debt that because just to even go there to work, they have to be able to take out a loan. So they can't even start helping their family out in their own country until they pay off the loan. They work in slave labor in really deadly situations, and some of them don't even make it back alive. I've seen videos about this in the past of what happens out there in Saudi Arabia and how they bring people in to do the work for them to make it look like the place is super capitalistic and super friendly and lovely and wonderful. But it's really, really, really not.
I think you're going to have a heart attack or you're experiencing heat stress from working in more than 120 degrees Fahrenheit or 50 degrees Celsius. Even if you're working in dangerous and even deadly conditions, there's no ability, if you're a migrant worker in Qatar, to strike for your basic human rights.
The government of Qatar has refused to do autopsies on the workers who die as they're working.
Yeah, this is, I mean, it's difficult to understand how there could be thousands of deaths and how they couldn't be well documented. But when you understand the system of labor exploitation that was present in Qatar, it's actually very easy to understand. So there's a workforce at any given time of 2 million migrant laborers, and then the population is about 250 or 300,000. So that means 90 to 95% of the workforce are migrant laborers, and they're coming from some of the world's poorest countries. India, Nepal, Bangladesh, the Philippines, Ghana, Kenya. And these are migrant workers who are leaving home for years at a time to make a better future for their children. But once they arrive there, they find that they're in control of the sponsoring company, which is exploiting them. And there's really, many of the workers have described to us, or as you saw on the video, they're working in deadly conditions, but there's no way to protest and there's no way out.
The FIFA president, we just played, Gianni Infantino, opened the Saturday news conference with a stunning hour-long monologue. He said Qatar's offering migrants the opportunity to provide for their families, whereas Europe has closed its borders. If you could comment on this, and also why this oil-rich nation cannot afford to pay a living wage to its workers?
So the last question first. The system that was in place, so there was a absolute concentration, unprecedented concentration of construction to build this World Cup that started in 2010. Those Qatari companies, and remember, migrant workers had no basic human rights. Those Qatari companies were competing against each other for the lowest cost. I think every country can do a better job of respecting the rights of migrant workers, but we've never before seen such a concentration of construction. And to be clear, this is at least $220 billion of construction. So it's 8 new stadiums where they previously didn't exist in the desert. It's hundreds of miles of railways, highways, hundreds of new hotels, office towers springing up. So the construction was unprecedented for this World Cup. You can broadly call it infrastructure. And the situation for migrant workers was that they really were desperate to earn money. And once they were there, had no, in some cases, we documented families, the workers begged the sponsors to send them home.
Minky Worden, we want to thank you for being with us. Of course, we're going to continue to cover this story. Minky Worden is Director of Global Initiative.
Lana sent me another video that we can watch about this as well. It's called the Qatar FIFA World Cup Controversy Explained. Wait, it was Holly. Sorry, Holly. Holly sent it to me. Here, we'll watch this one too.
Cup is finally here. It's the greatest sporting tournament in the world where teams from all over the planet compete to be the final 32 teams that will participate in the World Cup finals every 4 years. However, maybe you've noticed, maybe you haven't, but there's something very weird about this particular World Cup. This year's FIFA World Cup is being organized in Qatar, a country that has never qualified for the World Cup before. Also, World Cups are usually organized in the summer when most of the big league seasons have ended. But Qatari summer weather can go up to 45 degrees Celsius to 50 degrees Celsius, which means the European players playing in the World Cup would get cooked like a tunde kebab on a Friday evening. So for the first time in the history of the World Cup was moved from the summer to the winter when the weather would be a little bit more manageable. Again, this was done despite the...
Exactly, Cape Socialist. Les Bones, you wanted to hear about the World Cup? Here you go. This is my part of the World Cup. You want me to get into sports balls? Find some controversy.
fact that it would disrupt many of the biggest football leagues in the world, so much so that all of those leagues would need to take a 6-week hiatus in the middle of the season. These disruptions have led many journalists to even claim that Qatar should not even have been considered as a World Cup destination in the first place.
Thanks, Captain Obvious.
And the World Cup is also supposed to be a big, giant celebration, which means people would like to enjoy themselves at the matches with a drink, maybe 2, maybe 3, maybe 17. But Qatar, where this year's World Cup is being organized, has some very strict anti-alcohol rules.
Fans will be able to drink in a dedicated Doha fan zone, and ticket holders will have options within the stadium grounds before and after a match in the evenings, but not inside, where there'll only be alcohol-free offerings.
It's a bit like saying, hey guys, welcome to my awesome party. This is going to be the greatest party you have ever attended, but you cannot party in the house, you cannot party in the yard, you cannot party in the garden, you can only party in the bathroom. You cannot play party music, you can only play instrumental classical music, and also no talking to each other. But other than that, have a great time. Also, we've seen how extreme...
That's the lamest party I've ever heard of. Fuck that. That's a lame party. Did you hear that though? They can't even have alcohol or anything inside the World Cup either. That's wild. Like, why would they even want the World Cup to be at Qatar if it's going to be like this? Like, what is the point of it? Like, is it because like Saudi Arabia wants to be like the cool new country or something? Like, we're the rich person's country. Come and visit us. We got lots of nice stuff. But you can't do anything. You can't even, like they were saying, you can't even wear like a rainbow armband at the World Cup. They were going to get fined, right? Party.
extremely pro-LGBTQ and other human rights FIFA, UEFA, and the Football Association of England and the other governing bodies are. The Premier League does a Rainbow Laces campaign every year where all the players play their matches wearing rainbow laces, and all the captains wear rainbow armbands, and all the LGBTQ fan groups of various clubs are highlighted. But despite all of that, they decided to host the World Cup in Qatar, which is one of the most anti-LGBTQ countries in the world. Homosexuality is illegal in Qatar, punishable by prison sentences and in some extreme cases even death. There are official decrees that have been issued in Qatar against any homosexuality during the World Cup, where people are asked to stay away from bad behaviors like drinking alcohol, homosexuality, immodesty, loud music and sounds, and dating. The Qatar FIFA World Cup ambassador has said that homosexuality is a damage in the mind, and as you can imagine, these kinds of
how do they plan on having any kind of fun at the World Cup without any of that? I'm sorry, but if there's no alcohol, no LGBTQ, no loud music, no dancing, I don't want to be a part of that party. Like, it just doesn't seem like, what is everybody going to do at the soccer game? Just stand there and not say anything? Do like, like the, where you can barely hear it? Or are they all doing like a snap? Everybody snaps in the audience when the guy makes the goal. Like, what the fuck are they going to do? This sounds like the worst party ever. USA changed their logo on their uniform to rainbow colors. I respect that decision considering where they're playing. Yeah, I heard there was a couple of countries that are like, fuck you, Qatar. We're going to wear our rainbows anyway. You can go ahead and fine us all you want. So that's what they were. I guess Qatar was going to fine the countries that were wearing those. And they wore them anyway, from what I heard. Yeah, the WC in South Africa in 2010. Oh, the World Cup. And they were really nice. Oh, they were price gouging on the Bud beer, the only booze available to buy. Oh, wow. Yeah, that's what they do. That's, that's capitalism for you. Anytime something big, whether it's a crisis or it's an event happening, anything that you want to buy in that area is going to be price gouged and overpriced, no matter what. That they do that. Welcome to capitalism. It fucking sucks. You keep trying and then forgetting to hit send. Oh, to say hi to Les Bones.
Extreme statements have led many LGBTQ fan groups and even football players feel very nervous about going to Qatar to support their teams or even play for their teams. Qatar has even enacted a sex ban for unmarried fans ahead of the World Cup. And last but not least by any means, the horrific treatment by Qatar of migrant laborers who have built all the new stadiums for the World Cup.
Qatar is a slave state in the 21st century.
A migrant worker can't leave the country without an exit visa. That visa has to be approved by his employer. Who has your passport? So you're trapped here. Yes. We've got coffins coming home every day. More than a worker per day on average is dying.
Analysis by The Guardian in 2021 revealed that at least 6,500 migrant workers had died in Qatar since the World Cup was awarded.
And if all these migrant workers dying horrific deaths was not enough, most of the deaths that happened during building...
Exactly, shake and bacon. That's what I want to know. Like, that's exactly what I was thinking in my head when that was going by. I was like, who's going to watch that? Like, you sure all those tourists are not going to try to get some when, like, especially some like, bimbo girl from like America goes out there and sees some like, banging Qatar dude. Like, they're going to. Come on now. This country is literally trying to keep these people down, like really hold them down. And they're inviting like the most open, like freest countries of the whole world to come in there and have a soccer game, expecting us to act like them. Like, no, you got another thing coming, bro. There ain't no way that these capitalist tourists are not going to go to Qatar and fuck everywhere. That shit's hilarious. Come on now. Exactly. They're all little perverts. Everybody's perverts. Everybody wants to bang from a person from another country. It's just bound to poor Qatar. I bet their police department is running 24/7 right now.
These stadiums were classified by Qatar as natural deaths, attributed to sudden and unexplained heart or respiratory failure. Oh yes, of course. The deaths caused by working 20 hours in blistering heat and breathing in fumes, smoke, and dust for 20 hours was absolutely due to natural causes. What's next? People in Qatar are going to say that 6 million Jews died of a heat stroke during World War II? No way.
Oopsie! Oopsie! Did I just do an oopsie again? I didn't know.
Things are so dire that families of the migrant workers who have died, in some cases, are being asked to pay money in order to get the remains of their dead relatives back from Qatar. So for all of these reasons stated above, and for an organization like FIFA that presents itself as such an inclusive, progressive organization, the World Cup being organized in Qatar makes absolutely no sense. So then why the hell is it being organized in Qatar? Money, man. FIFA is corrupt as Basically, in 2010, the host countries for 2018 and 2022 were selected as Russia and Qatar, respectively. Now, FIFA was criticized from various quarters for choosing two host countries at once, because this was the very first time that it had ever happened. Many critics warned that choosing two countries at once might be because of some underlying corruption that has happened. And guess what? They were absolutely bloody right. As right as your mom when she tells you should break up with that girl who only has male friends.
That's a major red flag.
Many many high-ranking FIFA officials were accused of taking big bribes in order to award Russia and Qatar the World Cup hosting privilege. People were giving exorbitant amounts of money and even extremely rare Picasso paintings in order to get FIFA officials to vote for Qatar. In fact, a report by the US Justice Department and the FBI found that massive amounts of corruption and money was involved.
A recent FBI investigation uncovered FIFA officials taking kickbacks worth over $150 million.
Ultimately, more than half of the 22 men who voted for Qatar were later accused of or charged with corruption.
So basically, 2/3 of the people that voted for Qatar to be the World Cup host were charged with criminal corruption. And that really raises a lot of questions about Qatar's bid. Because think about it, if 2/3 of the people that manufactured your car were jailed for criminal corruption, you are not going anywhere near that car. You're definitely going to believe there's something wrong with that car. So the whole FIFA process around how countries are selected to host World Cups is extremely mysterious and by all accounts extremely flawed. Sepp Blatter, the FIFA president when Qatar and Russia were chosen, and Michel Platini, the UEFA president and also a high-ranking member of FIFA, both have resigned in disgrace since then. In fact, Sepp Blatter has even come out in recent times and said that awarding World Cup hosting privileges to Qatar was a mistake and we should all just move on. Really? This is like going to a 5-star restaurant, eating a 5-course meal, and then telling the manager that you're not going to pay the bill because you came to this restaurant by mistake, and we should all just move on. And unfortunately, these big allegations of corruption is nothing new for FIFA either. Massive charges of corruption and untoward practices were leveled against FIFA even during the Brazil World Cup.
Well, and they're going to make money as well as the money they're spending.
Actually, FIFA makes the money. This is where the controversy is. The country usually doesn't make money. FIFA, the organization of the World Cup, is who makes the money.
A FIFA official turned FBI informant said that FIFA officials took home huge bribes to select South Africa as FIFA World Cup host in 2010.
Now, an FBI informant, Blazer claimed FIFA officials took home huge bribes in connection with South Africa's selection as 2010 World Cup host.
Major FIFA executives like Jack Warner, Nicholas Leos, former president...
Yeah, these FIFA guys are super, super corrupt. Holy shit. They're like, we don't care how bad this country is. As long as you give us enough money, we're just going to let them do wherever they want because we want to stay rich. And look, it's a couple of old white dudes. Of course it is. Of fucking course it is.
João Havelange and 14 other high-ranking FIFA officials have been charged with, indicted, or arrested in massive corruption cases. So clearly, Qatar and Russia are no anomalies for FIFA. And it's again funny that organizations like FIFA, UEFA, the British Football Association, they act like extremely progressive organizations, while at the same time, the British Football Association allows a country like Saudi Arabia to purchase a major Premier League team like Newcastle United. Ironic, isn't it? Because LGBTQ rights and women's rights in Saudi Arabia are as non-existent as acting talent in Arjun Kapoor. To be fair, the media has been doing a good job of bringing this FIFA's corruption to light. But what's curious is there is one media organization that otherwise is extremely interested in human rights, extremely interested in the state of democracy in India, extremely interested in the state of minorities in India, but is suspiciously quiet about corruption in Qatar and the human rights record of Qatar, which happens to be Al Jazeera and their pet Mehdi Hassan, who haven't really been talking about Qatar's human rights record at all. I wonder why. And
you know, that actually is a good point. I never even thought about that. Like, I watch Al Jazeera to get like the opposite end of the spectrum when it comes to news, like when America goes and does something to a country in the Middle East. But I never thought about it like this. They haven't said anything about FIFA and Qatar and the World Cup and stuff. They haven't said a single thing on Al Jazeera. That's kind of interesting. But I mean, I guess that's all news too. You know, like no matter how much we enjoy the news or even enjoy independent news, everybody has a bias in their own way too. So that's just interesting. I never would have known. Okay, so yeah, Al Jazeera is based in Qatar. That makes sense why they wouldn't say anything bad about it. But that's so wild though, because they talk so much shit on America. Al Jazeera does. And if like Saudi Arabia is such good like oil buddies with America, why is their news talking about them so much?
Mehdi Hassan, who sees so much injustice in India on a daily basis, so much injustice in Kashmir, and so much racism in Western countries, has no interest in talking about the human rights record of Qatar, and in fact is very upset that people are questioning Qatar's human rights record and has even called it Qatar phobia in the past. FIFA and Qatar are in damage control mode, and they've even tried to bribe David Beckham to come and endorse the FIFA World Cup in Qatar and save them from this public relations nightmare, but it has not helped at all. So the question is, we all know what a corrupt organization these footballing bodies are. How do you fix this corruption? Fans of many countries are asking to boycott the tournament. Many French cities are also attempting to boycott this tournament on their own end. To their credit, some teams are protesting.
16. Yeah, exactly, Willie. Like TYT tells the truth about some truths about Republicans, but are blind about what Democrats do. Yeah, exactly. Everybody's got their own bias. Even I have my own bias, so.
Players taking a united stand, condemning the World Cup host nation's human rights record, and calling for the decriminalisation of same-sex relationships.
And to be honest, some countries' protests are better than others. For example, Denmark is protesting against the World Cup by not boycotting it, but playing in the World Cup. But instead of wearing the red jerseys, they're going to wear black jerseys in order to bring the human rights crisis in Qatar to light. Wow, I can just imagine how moved a dead migrant worker's mother must be by this. My son died a horrible, painful death, but at least Denmark's jersey is black, so I guess it makes it all worth it. But look, to be fair,
the virtue signaling, he did a really good job right there with talking about the virtue signaling, the fact that they don't care as long as they get to keep playing their games wherever. They don't care. They just make these little fake virtue signals that be like, oh well, I'm pretending like I care, but it's not. I have disagreements with TYT, but to be fair, they do criticize Democrats a fair amount. I don't know. I haven't watched them in so long. It's been a very, very long time since I've watched those guys.
Ultimately, it's not the team's job to protest. Their job is to play. The players in these teams have worked their entire lives to represent their country in the most important sporting event in the world. The sport, migrant workers, the LGBTQ community, football players, and even the fans are being let down by these extremely corrupt football governing bodies and many developed nations who want to do nothing to fix this situation. All these countries talk a huge game to countries like India when it comes to human rights, when it comes to Kashmir, when it comes to the Citizenship Amendment Act, but don't want to do anywhere near enough to take on these corrupt organizations who profit off of despotic, corrupt, and extremely bigoted regimes. And I want to ask you, are you excited for the World Cup? And how do you...
Bye, Brandy. Have a good day at work today. Thanks for stopping by. If you guys got a quick minute, please hit the like button on the video. Helps with the algorithms and the recommendation page for people.
Think, in your opinion, can we fix the massive amounts of corruption that exists in various football governing bodies? Let me know in the comment section down below. As usual, if you liked today's episode, make sure to leave a like, leave a thumbs up, and let me know that if you are enjoying this English video series.
Are you guys enjoying the English video? Yeah, so that's what I got out of it. I have no idea what's going on with the actual World Cup, who's winning. That's the only part I paid attention to on like literally the entire World Cup part. Looks like Saudi Arabia defeats Argentina. Of course they did. Mexico did their national anthem with Poland. USA versus Wales 1-1. I don't know too much, like I said. I don't even know what part, like for the actual game part, I have no idea. No clue. I guess FIFA World Cup kicks off in Qatar with fireworks. More money being spent. All of that was slave labor. Oh, so it just started.
We're all rooting for Qatar to take it home. Like we're home already. Like it's not too far to go. We're here. It's gonna stay here, inshallah. Yeah.
قطر بلد عظيم جدا. تغيرت كليا على المونديال. صار في منشآت.
Did you hear that? It has changed completely ahead of the World Cup. Like they're only changing to get all that money. That's it. Oh, this poor guy.
ملاعب جاهزة لاستضافة كل العالم داخل دولة قطر.
Hubiese querido estar en el estadio, pero igual lo estamos apoyando desde acá y está muy bien, es una cosa fantástica. La inauguración es lo mejor del mundial y cada partido va creciendo en emoción, pero esta noche es muy importante.
Because it was a unique opportunity to come to the World Cup where everything's in such a small place. So we're so lucky we can watch 8 games in a short period of time, which probably wouldn't be possible anywhere else. So yeah, it was something we wanted to do for a long time, and this was probably once in a lifetime.
Good luck, Mexico. Ciao.
Tan feliz, se me sale el corazón. No puedo creer que ganamos 2-0. 3-0, si es que no nos anulan el gol. Muy buen comienzo. Los próximos partidos son bien difíciles y fue bueno ganar con 2, que no nos metan los 2 goles o ningún gol. Entonces, entusiasmado o un poco sorprendido porque no esperaba que jugaran tan bien. Ya sabes, nosotros tuvimos una clasificación medio difícil, como siempre es en Sudamérica, que esperas hasta el último partido, pero que hayan jugado de esta manera y que hayan marcado.
That guy was drinking alcohol. I thought you're not supposed to drink alcohol there. They gonna get in trouble.
Debieron haber sido 3 goles, entonces es súper entusiasmado. Entonces, muy contento.
He's had a good influence on the match for them. With that.
Well, at least they're out there having fun. That's good for them. Horrible for the people that had to build all that and suffer for them to be able to have that. If you're interested in some history, watch The English Game. It was a very good series. Okay. The English Game. Yeah, I've never heard of that. I sometimes think they use sport to keep us from rioting. Oh yeah, it's like the instillment of the team mentality, like my team versus your team, like a division type stuff. It's just that team mentality of my team's better than your team, or my team's gonna win and your team's gonna lose. It's like that hive mind mentality. So yeah, absolutely. It's just, yeah, I completely agree with that. Completely agree with that. That was really, it gets me upset to hear when I hear about a lot of like really good things happening to Saudi Arabia, just because of how people are being treated out there and how much they keep it like on the down low. They don't let people know, and a lot of stuff stays secret, while they make people think that Saudi Arabia is this amazing, one of a kind experience place. I mean, I'm pretty sure it probably is with how much stuff they built, but there's just no reason to even go do stuff like that or go experience that when you know how it was built. It's like going to those like what do they call those, like slave homes out here in America that now they're like prairie homes or something like that, where people do weddings and stuff. It's like, why would you do that? It has such a horrible history and you're wanting to have a wedding there. It feels like the same thing to me. I couldn't even imagine. I feel so bad for the people in that country, or even the workers in that country. Also this week is the UN Climate Summit. Amy Lee talked about it as well. I told you guys I had a big problem trying to find stuff to talk about today, so I'm just doing fillers. Shows that the U.S. doesn't give a shite about human rights like they claimed they do. No, of course not. I mean, would you expect anything different from the United States? Jesus Christ. We've done so much to prove that we don't care about human rights. But yeah, the U.S. Climate Summit. Okay, so agrees to historic loss and damage funds and rejects call to phase out fossil fuels. So we're gonna still keep fossil fuels, it seems like. She writes, rich countries agreed to establish a loss and damage fund at the close of the 2-week-long UN climate summit in Egypt to help the Global South deal with the worst effects of the climate catastrophe. The fund is a major breakthrough for Global South countries, which has been demanding a similar mechanism for the past 30 years, but faced opposition from the U.S., of course, and other large polluting nations, of course. Climate justice activist Asad Raham says that the fund is a glimmer of hope despite the summit ending with a massive expansion of carbon markets and delegates making no progress to phase out fossil fuels. The glimmer of hope. You hear that? The glimmer of hope. The glimmer of hope. You can use what I sent you. Yeah, I just showed the FIFA World Cup. That was the one that we were just watching, The Ugly Truth. We just watched it. All right, and then so now we'll watch about the right. Yeah, exactly. Let's celebrate a fund. Boo.
Broadcasting from Cairo, Egypt. We just flew in from Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt, over the weekend, where the 2-week-long UN climate summit ended Sunday. In a major breakthrough, rich countries agreed to establish a loss and damage fund to help the Global South deal with the worst effects of the climate catastrophe. But delegates at COP27 failed to agree on any steps to phase out fossil fuels. Nations in the Global South and climate justice activists have been demanding loss and damage fund for the past 30 years. But the United States and other large polluting nations had long opposed the proposal. This is UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres speaking Sunday.
Our planet is still in the emergency room. We need to drastically reduce emissions now, and this is an issue this COP did not address. A fund for loss and damage is essential, but it's not an answer if the climate crisis washes a small island state off the map or turns an entire African country to desert. The world still needs a giant leap on climate ambition. The red line we must not cross is the line that takes our planet over the 1.5 degree temperature limit. To have any hope of keeping to 1.5, we need to massively invest in renewables and end our addiction to fossil fuels.
We're joined right now from Sharm el-Sheikh by Asad Raham, Executive Director of War on Want and the lead spokesperson for the Climate Justice Coalition. Asad, welcome back to Democracy Now! We spoke to you last Monday as the COP27 negotiations were underway. Now they have ended. Can you talk about what has come of this? What do you think of the final COP27 proposal?
Hi, Amy, and always a pleasure to join you. Well, as Antonio Guterres said in your piece there, on the critical questions of are we reducing harm? Are we keeping temperatures well below the 1.5 degrees? There was no progress. We didn't see any mention of the equitable phase out of fossil fuels. In fact, we simply saw a repeat of what was agreed in Glasgow, which was about unabated coal. And of course, many rich countries came to these climate negotiations having expanded their own fossil fuels. The United States, the UK, the European Union are all planning massive expansions of oil and gas, and even, incredibly, of coal. So flying very much in the face of science, and the science has already told us that we have to basically halve our emissions by 2030 to be able to be at zero by 2050. We've got less than 5 to 10 years of the current carbon budget if we want to limit temperatures below 1.5. And shockingly, that the latest synthesis report has said we've only reduced our emissions in terms of the NDCs, the plans that governments have got in place, by 0.3%. So we're so far off in terms of actually reducing the harm that governments have
these companies and these governments aren't going to do anything. They're going to wait until it's past the tipping point, and they're going to be like, oh, we're in a climate emergency. Now we have to do something. It's what they do. They're not going to help us. I mean, I don't even know what this guy's going to say, but the whole hope of one area getting fixed while there's just a buttload of new contracts being approved for more oil industries. It's just proof right there that they don't give a fuck. They had an entire get together in Egypt about it, and they're still out there doing more fossil fuels. They don't care about our planet or the future. Like when they start talking about, we need to start living in austerity and taxing the shit out of all of us so that way our future children have a future to look forward to. Don't believe them, because they could have been doing something with climate change. That's even a bigger of a future than
and of
paying
course,
taxes.
Resulting in the devastating consequences we're seeing around the world. And if to make matters worse, we also saw
I'm trying with the volume. Hold on, let me see if I can get it up higher.
Basically are about offsets, which are a license for rich countries and corporations to pollute. If somewhere else, somebody else takes some action, we simply don't have the carbon budget for that. The decision has no safeguards, there's no review, and there's no transparency. It's a recipe for disaster.
So talk more about the Loss and Damage Fund, about any kind of, whether it is voluntary or not, and what exactly was the role of the United States, the last holdout?
So this was on the flip side, if we say you have to reduce harm, you have to repair the harm that's already been done, and then you have to compensate people for the harm that can no longer be repaired. And we can see that, of course, with the reality facing many, many countries who are not just
Does it sound like that right there? You know what? I'm thinking it's the video, because I've got me muted and I've got the video all the way up. That audio it's not only all the way up on there, but it's all the way up on my computer. So I think it's just his recording. Yeah.
Debt, still recovering from a COVID pandemic, have a historical and huge issue of tackling inequality and poverty, and are simply being overwhelmed, as we saw in Pakistan, in Nigeria, across the Horn of Africa, and in the Caribbean. Now, the rich countries led by the United States, but backed also by the European Union and the UK, have long dragged their feet on the issue of loss and damage. It's been 30 years in the making, as you mentioned in your opening. But at the 11th hour, they were finally dragged kicking and screaming over the line to agree the establishment of the fund. But of course, this is the first step. No money was agreed, and we still got to agree the process of setting up the fund. But it is a major step breakthrough. But as a lifeline, it gives a glimmer of hope. But a deflated life belt is still a deflated life belt. What really matters now is, will rich countries meet their responsibility, put finance in that to the scale that is needed, and will developing countries be able to access that, to recognize that the vulnerabilities that we're seeing are now global, and of course are compounded for many, many developing countries by the structural inequalities that they face.
And Asad, if you can talk more about the fact that the wording was changed on fossil fuels from phasing out to phasing down, and what practically that means in the world.
I know exactly what that means. Instead of ending fossil fuels, they're just going to bring it down so that way more competition can come up, renewable energy, so that way they can still continually make money, because we're a capitalist society and this is what we do. We can't, they cannot give us citizens anything without them having to make money with it first. This is what phasing down is going to ultimately mean. Bet right now, I'm betting.
So from civil society organizations, and of course the demand from communities on the front line has been, we need an equitable phase out. Look, fossil fuels are at the core of greenhouse gas emissions. So the key thing is, what is our plan to end our addiction to fossil fuels, and how can it be done in a just way that those countries who've got the capacity and the resources and are responsible for the majority of emissions in the world take the first step. Now, rich countries have long blocked that idea of an equitable phase out to fossil fuels. What they wanted to concentrate on is coal, because largely developed countries have moved away from coal. And of course, they're expanding. I mean, it's shocking that President Biden, for example, has authorized more permits for expansion of fossil fuels than even Donald Trump did. And of course, we would widely recognize that President Trump was a climate denialist. So what we're seeing is not the language that we need in terms of actually a phase out. Now, what we've seen also, of course, because of the pressure of the hundreds of fossil fuel lobbyists and many countries who are relying on fossil fuels for their own economic development, they began to water down their language around fossil fuels. They want to caveat that by talking about clean fossil fuels, somehow that we can remove the carbon around them. They're positioning gas as if it's a clean energy resource, rather than actually going full pelt on the renewable energy that we know will both be cleaner, will be fairer, will tackle energy poverty, and of course is also cheaper.
Your final 30-second summary of where we are after 27 years of COP.
Well, look, on the critical issue about finance, I mean, it's hugely concerning. In 2020, rich countries promised, $100 billion a year. That's still not being met. We again had just expressions of concern, but there is a positive step that we are going to be in conversations about a new finance goal in 2024. But I would say there has been some major breakthroughs. The fact that now the financial institutions like the IMF and World Bank are being talked about in the text as being not fit for purpose, that we have now a program on just transition, which includes social protection, which recognizes that as what the IPCC talked about, that we need a compact on climate and poverty if we're going to actually have a just transition. But the most important lesson I take away from Sharm el-Sheikh is that the combined pressure of global civil society, both in Sharm el-Sheikh and in cities around the world and in capitals around the world, combined with strong leadership of the G77, we can move things forward. We can have victory. So now the fight continues, and we have to build more and more power, because when we do, we can face down these fossil fuel-backed governments.
Honestly, I'm definitely not sure we can phase them down. If they've had the COP 27 for 27 years, and this is the talk of the area now of all of that, no fucking hope, no hope. Come on now. Why do they do this? Why do they just give us these fake hopes just so we could be disappointed again? Her fucking shirt is badass. I didn't even realize what she was wearing. Look at her shirt. It's like navy dark blue with like green zippers and like green little shoulder straps. And like it's see-through right here. I dig her shirt.
And want to thank you so much for being with us, Executive Director of War on Want and lead spokesperson for the Calling for Loss and Damage, a fund at COP27. This is Ron Pedros with the Asian People's Movement on Debt and Development, which organized the protest this past week.
Food for people, not for profit. Food for people, not for profit. It's the Food, Land, Water Action Day organized by the Asian People's Movement on Debt and Development. According to the World Food Program, currently we have almost 1 billion people who are hungry. The number of people who have no access to affordable food has grown from 135 million to now 345 million in the last couple of years. As governments gathered here today, drag their feet for decisive, ambitious, and realistic climate actions, people are dying every second. We call on a number of speakers to tell their stories directly to this COP. We call on Wanun to speak for Thailand.
I am also bringing the voices of the people who I have been working with, and those are women's group and also farmers and fisher folks. You know about climate impacts, so unpredictable rainfalls, long duration of droughts, and also flash flooding. And those farmers not producing or causing any CO2 emissions, but they are bearing all the costs of climate impacts. All the solutions that here in this COP and the previous COP has been offering is really a false solutions. Let me name a few. Smart climate agriculture, smart farming, smart farmers, large agricultural lands. And those are supposed to be helping the communities and farmers on the ground to survive and to adapt to the impacts of climate change. But those false solutions are really putting more and accelerating the impacts of climate change onto the local communities and farmers and women.
We call on our speaker from Africa, from Friends of the Earth Africa, Kwame.
What's happening in Africa, actually, people are dying because there is no more food. Small-scale farmers are being pushed away. Contracts have been signed to take land from people, from small-scale farmers. People are dying of hunger. People are dying for floods and droughts. It's not fair.
Right. Why are these people not in the climate summit COP meeting being able to speak on stage? Like, why is it only these rich companies, rich CEOs, government organizations, government people allowed to go into these things and try to figure out what's the best for the country? Like, these people are out there living it. They see the stuff that's going on. They see the climate change happening. They see what's happening in their own communities, and they're trying to make a voice about it, but they get completely ignored at this summit, while the people in the summit make decisions for these people. That has nothing, that isn't even going to be benefiting them in the long run. It's all about capitalism. It's all about them making more money. It just, when my question is for like everyone in the world, when is it going to be a time where we start this fucking class war? Like, I am really getting sick and tired of a few rich motherfuckers out here running the entire fucking operation, and we all just have to live in it and suffer with it and deal with it and have to buy into it because we don't have any other choice. Like, when are we going to get fucking sick and tired and be done with this? That's what I want to know.
Very much. I am here from Ecuador. As it was said, in Ecuador we have several problems with water because of at least two reasons. First of all, climate change, which is shrinking the glaciers in the mountains, but also we have mining companies affecting the water in the paramos, which is like a sponge that absorbs water, and this brings water for agriculture and for the peoples in the city. 20 years ago, we started here together with other organizations asking that the only solution is to start to leave fossil fuels on the ground. And at that moment, everybody was thinking, oh, these women, all of these people are crazy. But now everybody is talking that is an important issue to start to leave fossil fuels on the ground in order to address climate change. But also together with the Filipino peoples, with the Asian movement for that, we have been claiming that it's not a question of finance climate change. It's a question to repair. It's a question to pay the ecological and climate debt that have the industrialized countries with the southern countries like Ecuador.
I belong to a country of nature. I belong to Nepal, where most of the people's basic work is agriculture. As our comrade said, agriculture for food, not for profit. In Nepal, due to climate change, due to climate crisis, several catastrophes have been faced by the local community. Last year, community has to face loss of whole rice, ready to harvest rice, which forced them to take loan to continue their livelihood for a year, to educate their children. This is what people are facing. This is what community are facing in the ground. You all note that all the leaders as well. If agriculture goes wrong, everything in this world will go wrong. You cannot survive only drinking oil. What do we want? Climate justice!
I completely agree. I couldn't even agree with him more on what he says. Once the world is fucking done for, we can't drink oil. And just remember, these rich people are going to be okay. They're going to be fine. We need to worry about all the rest of us. We need to worry about, our community. We love socialism and types of communism. Let's fucking get together and get fucking mad and fight against these fools and tell them that it's not for profit. It's people over profit. What even fucking, what is her name? Nancy Pelosi was saying that in an interview the other day, like people over politics. Prove it. Fucking prove it. Go out there and prove it. I just, it makes me so mad because you know that these people aren't going to get what they want.
When do we want that? Now. What do we want? Climate justice. When do we want that? Now.
To see more of our coverage from...
Yeah, it's really, really, really sad to see what the climate summit is doing and how they're not even changing. They don't care. They don't care about people. They don't care about human existence. They just care about their profits and how much money they're going to make and how they're going to make more in the next quarter. That's all they care about. It's sad. It's a sad, sad world we live in. Two really upsetting articles. I'm sorry, you guys. I didn't mean to do that. So yesterday, oh, why you always got to do that? You like never stop when I click the button. So yesterday we covered the Club Q shooting. And yesterday, the hero, the guy that stopped the killer from doing any more harm, did an interview with CNN, and hearing his story is just so heartbreaking and heartwarming at the same time. So I figured we can sit here and listen and watch his thing. He's definitely a superhero, but he doesn't want to be known as that. It's really a sad situation when regular citizens have to use their military past to deal with a situation here on American soil when, you know, most Americans are like, oh, we do all this stuff in other countries. It doesn't belong in our country. Well, it is, and it happens a lot here too. It's just we're not getting bombed or anything, you know, like most other, like what America's doing to those countries. You want to play with that kitty? So here's the guy's story. We're gonna listen to him telling us about the situation that happened. What's up, kitties? Okay.
Raymond Green Vance's family says he had just landed a new job and couldn't wait to save enough money to get his own apartment. They say he was a kind, selfless young adult with his entire life ahead of him. He was at Club Q with his longtime girlfriend and her parents, including her father, Richard Fierro, who did help stop the gunman, but not before Raymond was fatally wounded. Now, Richard and I spoke just before airtime, and I do want to warn you, it is a raw, emotional discussion, and what he describes is as graphic as you might imagine. Major Fierro, so take us back to when the gunman first entered the club. What happened? Because you're quoted in the New York Times as saying you went into combat mode. What instincts kicked in from your tours in Iraq and Afghanistan?
Listen, first of all, I just want to say this is in no way about me. My daughter is grieving the loss of her boyfriend. He was in our lives for 6 years. Raymond was a great young man. He was in his way to do some amazing things. And for me right now, it's about healing. I have 2 friends still in the hospital that were shot. My best friends here in the Springs. My whole Colorado Springs family was there. And so what I think I was doing was protecting my family, which is what I do. And sometimes to a fault. And I do things because I'm fight or flight. I think I tend to go fight a lot more. And I don't know if it's good or not. It doesn't matter. Either way, I went to the ground because as soon as I heard the rounds, I dove down. I pushed over my friend as best I could, and we both hit the ground, me and Chip. I put my back against I tried to stand up and I fell. And then I fell against it's like a bench seating. And I at that point, I saw the shooter. I had no idea what was going on, but apparently I saw him going to the patio area because I saw a lot of people in the window, or it may not even have been a window left, but I saw a lot of people and this guy was there, and I saw the ACU pattern flak vest. And for me, that was like, there's a handle, I'm getting it. So I ran across the room, grabbed the handle, pulled him down, and then started to, well, actually, I think I went for his gun with him. His rifle flew in front of him. And the young man that tried to jump in there with me, we both either pulled him down or whatever, but he ended up at his head and right next to the AR. And then with the AR, I told him, push the AR, get the AR away from him. The kid pushed the AR. I don't know what his name was. And then I proceeded to take his other weapon, the pistol, and then just start hitting him where I could, but the armor's in the way. And I found a crease between his armor and his head, and I just started wailing away with his gun. And then I told the kid in front of me, kick him, keep kicking him. And I was guiding him. I was telling people, call 911, call 911. I brought him down. I was in mode. I was doing what I do downrange, you know. I trained for this. I don't want to ever do this. I didn't even retire because I was done doing this stuff. It was too much. And I'm you know, it came in handy, and I got to protect my kid. I lost my kid's boyfriend. I tried to have everybody in there. I still feel bad that there's 5 people. There's 5 people that didn't come home. And this guy, I told him while I was hitting him, I said, I'm going to kill you, man, because you tried to kill my friends. My family was in there. My little girl was in there with her.
We are so sorry for the loss that you and your family have gone through, for the loss of your daughter's boyfriend. And we are so sorry for your 2 friends that are still recovering in there. And I can't imagine going through what you and your family did, even with your training. Your training was for war zones. You trained to do that in combat, you know, not out for a night on the town.
Yeah, but it lives in you. If you actually do this stuff, it's in you. I was proud to be a soldier. I don't like these guys running around here doing G.I. Joe stuff, and they're not. I'm not a G.I. Joe. I'm just a normal guy, man. I'm protecting my family, and I reached up and I did what I had to do. And honestly, I don't care about myself in that moment. I cared about everybody that was around me, and I cared especially about my family. As soon as I got done with that guy and the cop came in, I went across the room and started first aid with my friend who was shot in the chest and the legs and the arms. And I told her, Joanne, stay with me. Look me in the eye. Stay with me. And I moved her head so she wouldn't see her arm because he was shot. And Chip was right there. Her husband was reaching for her. So I put her hand in his hand so that they could be together. I didn't know if they were going to make it.
Tell me that's not fucking heartbreaking. Tell me that's not something the regular citizens and regular people should be dealing with. I'm pretty sure people shouldn't be dealing with that in other countries either, what, you know, America does with their, you know, imperialism either. But man, this is some heavy stuff.
This guy, man. This whole thing was a lot. My daughter and wife should have never experienced combat in Colorado Springs. And everybody in that building experienced combat that night, not to their own accord, but because they were forced to. And I told my daughter, for me downrange, it was always, hey, get in the next patrol. Get in the next patrol, and you're done. They get over it. Get in the next patrol. They don't have that option. Nobody in that building has the option to get on the next patrol. They got to live with this now until whatever it's a lot for any human, man. This kid that was helping me was kicking another human in the head, and I told him to do it. I don't know what to do, you know. There was a beautiful one of the performers was walking by when the kid was getting tired of kicking, and she helped and kicked him with the high heels that she had on, and then ran because she's probably scared. I don't know what's going on in there. I was trying to get people to call the police. And that was it.
That drag queen is my other superhero. That's what I would have done. I would have been like, oh, he's standing right there, bap, right in the face, and then run.
I told the mayor, I'm not a hero. I'm just a guy that wanted to protect his kids and his wife, and I still didn't get to protect her boyfriend.
Major, you helped a lot of people. You helped a lot of people, and no one should ever, ever go through what you or your family or the people in that bar went through that night. Tell us about Raymond Vance. Tell us about your daughter's boyfriend. How will you remember him?
I'm holding her hand, and they're going through a lot, man. She's 22, but she loved this boy. She's been with him. So we went to go see her junior prom date, little Wyatt. Kid was with her since elementary school. We got here in 2007 when I was still in the Army. Wyatt's been with her the whole time. Her best friend, we went to go see perform a drag show. He was amazing, great kid. And then this happens, and my daughter loses her prom date, her boyfriend that she's been with forever. Her parent, his mom, we were telling her that we thought he was out there somewhere. She came by our house when we were at the hospital. I was dealing with the cops, and I'm trying to how do we get Raymond?
We're so sorry. I'm just so sorry. I see someone's rubbing your shoulder there. How are your wife? How are your wife and daughter doing?
They're hurting, man. They're hurting, but we got to do what we can. And we're strong, man. We walked out. I told the three of them when we were on our way home from the hospital, my daughter broke her knee. I said, we got to be strong for the three of us. And last night when me and my daughter broke down, we both told each other we're going to be there for each other the whole time. Because we still got to get this guy, man. We got to face him in court. I feel no sorrow for that dude. I hope he's in the hospital hurting because he killed a family.
Major, you've been strong for a lot of people. Now people are going to be there for you and help take care of you, and you're going to take care of each other through this. I know it's not easy, and I know it's going to be a tough several days and weeks and months, and some of the pain's never going to go away, but you helped a lot of people. You helped a lot of people, and I want to thank you for what you've done, and I want to thank you for talking to us tonight, and please take care of yourself, your wife and daughter. Give them giant hugs for us.
But before you go, I want to apologize for the people that didn't get their kids. Because all of them deserve to have their kids home tonight.
There's no question about that. All those people deserve to be home with their families tonight, and they're not. Former Army Major Richard Fierro, again, thank you for what you did.
Thank you.
You are a hero.
That guy is a hero. That guy's a fucking superhero. That is considered a real hero in my eyes, because he's somebody that isn't going around saying, I saved all these people. You know, he's really hurting about the people that he couldn't save. And that's where a real hero comes in. He's wow. One of the bartenders, it looks like. Oh, sorry. One of the bartenders got interviewed as well. That was going on in the club. Man, this is such a sad, sad situation.
Good morning to you. How are you holding up?
I am, we're taking it minute by minute, hour by hour. I mean, this type of situation tends to come in waves. I've found with myself and with other people that I've talked to from that night.
Yeah. Chaotic. Can you take us inside if you don't mind reliving this?
Yeah, of course. Of course. I was working behind the bar on a seemingly normal Saturday night, and around 11:55 or so, I heard a few popping sounds, and at first I thought it might have been one of the clacking fans that you see often at LGBT clubs. And when I looked up, I quickly realized that was not the case. I saw the outline of a man holding a rifle at the entrance of the club, just probably about 15 feet from me. And then, you know, it took a moment to register what was happening, but hit me. This was actually happening in real life to me and my friends. I ducked behind the bar, and as I did that, glass began to spew everywhere, all around me.
Now, I understand you knew Daniel Aston, who was killed in the club. Can you tell us about him?
Yes, yes. I've known Daniel Aston for a few years now. Most recently, he's always been a friend to me, but he was my supervisor at Club Q. He was the bar supervisor, and he was the best supervisor anybody could have asked for. He made me want to come into work, and he made me want to, you know, just be a part of the positive culture we were trying to create there. And he amazing person. He was a light in my life, and it's still surreal that we're even talking about him in past tense like this.
My colleagues are here as well, and I mean, we all have so many questions for you. And again, we're sorry. And I'm sorry I didn't say that. We're sorry about what happened.
Thank you, Don.
We're so sorry. And like Don said, you know, it's tough to ask you about what happened and have you relive it, but it's important, as you know, to the investigation, to what investigators are looking at. Did you hear the suspect say anything? I know there was music playing, so it was loud, but also quiet because people obviously were witnessing this shooting, hiding from this person. Did you hear him say anything as this was going on?
The closest I was to him where I could physically see a full body of a person was when he immediately came into the club. I was never close enough, or it was never quiet enough for me to hear if he was saying anything at all. You know, I tried to be one of those people who were trying to hide from him. So I tried to avoid seeing him. So I didn't hear anything, no.
Michael, thank you for being with us. I know that at one point as you were hiding, you thought, as you looked at that gun, looked right at the barrel of the gun, thought you were not going to make it, and you did. And there were heroes around you, right, who took down the gunman. What can you tell us about that?
Yes. No, there was a moment in time where I feared I was not going to make it out of that club alive. And I have never prayed so sincerely and quickly in my life as I did in that moment. As I was anticipating that outcome and afraid for that outcome, it got quiet. As I was praying and hoping, it got silent. The gunshots stopped. So I stayed there for a minute and a half. You know, I didn't know what to do. I couldn't see. I was hidden down in a corner. So I kept my head down, but after about a minute and a half, I decided I needed to get out of there. So I got up, and when I went inside, I saw what I believe was probably the gunman lying on the ground, getting beat up and kicked and yelled at by two very brave people who I still don't know the identity of those two people, but I hope I can find out one day, because I truly believe those two people saved my life.
Our correspondent, Nick Whaat, Poppy just spoke to him moments before you came on, and he says, and look, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but because we don't know the motive, but he said that most people there have already made up their minds. They believe that it was a hate crime or that was perpetrated against the LGBTQ community. How are you feeling about that?
I have to agree that I mean, there are so many clubs. I mean, you look at how many clubs are in Colorado Springs, and then you look at how many gay clubs are in Colorado Springs. There's two, and then all the other clubs would be not a part of that statistic. I don't know what was wrong with this man. I don't know why he needed to act in this way, but he obviously had some feelings towards, I don't know if it was transgender people, gays, lesbians. I don't know. Club Q is a safe place for everybody in the spectrum of the rainbow. So I don't know who he was targeting, but I definitely feel that it was something aimed directly at my community. Yet again, another time in our country.
Let's bring in Stoney Burtz, who is a field coordinator for One Colorado. That is the state's leading advocacy group dedicated to advancing equality for LGBT.
These poor, brave little souls, man. These just incredible human beings. So sad that they have to deal with this. It's one thing seeing that shit on video. It's another thing seeing it in person. Yeah. Like the guy said, he was literally, it's like combat, it's like war. It's literally what these soldiers and these civilians in other countries are having to deal with because of our imperialism. Just worse. Instead of gunshots, we bomb them. So no, I'm hoping that it, with all the negative of all these shootings that are going on and all this horrible stuff that's happening, people can start realizing that even us as Americans doing this to other countries too is just as bad. Like, you don't want to see this in your own hometown. You don't want to have to deal with this, when you go out with your family. Can we empathize with the rest of the world as well too? Like, this is so heartbreaking.
LGBTQ Coloradans and their families. Stoney, thank you and good morning to you.
Absolutely. Thank you. And good morning to you all.
You talk about how Club Q holds such symbolism and means so much. We heard Governor Polis say on CNN over the weekend, this was supposed to be a safe space in the community, and it was anything but. Rosa just reported that the DA is looking at this, investigating this through the lens of a hate crime. That is a sort of step shy of saying it was a hate crime definitively, but I wonder if there's any question in your mind.
No, I mean, to me, we definitely don't want to make assumptions, about motive and things like that as an investigation is underway and as it continues. But I think as somebody who, has been to Club Q and grew up in Club Q in a lot of ways, I don't know what else you could call it at this point.
So if this was supposed to be the safe space, is there any safe space for members of the LGBTQ community in Colorado Springs right now? What are they telling you?
I think right now we've always been the arbiters of our safe spaces, right? Like, we're always responsible for creating them. And unfortunately, we've in a lot of ways been the only folks invested in keeping them safe. So I think right now, there aren't a lot of safe spaces in reality. I think that what everybody's feeling is this immense amount of grief, immense amount of sorrow, immense amount of indescribable feelings for an unimaginable situation that, unfortunately, with the landscape of what we've seen in the past, is imaginable in a lot of ways. So right now, I think it's kind of up to us to lean into each other.
That's a really, really good point, Les Bones. They can't even be free to be who they want to be, even from the people here in America who whine the most about freedom. It's crazy. And what's even more wild to me is that, like, these freedom loving weirdo conservative people, and the ones that like cry freedom of speech and freedom and stuff, like, they're the first ones to take away these people's freedoms, but they're the first ones to go out there and cry about it as well.
Figure out how we can make those safe spaces, but also have folks outside of our community invested in keeping them safe.
Stoney, Michael Anderson is a bartender that Caitlin just mentioned moments ago to our correspondent there in the field. He spoke to us a little bit ago. I want you to hear it, and I want you to respond to it. Here it is.
He's always been a friend to me, but he was my supervisor at Club Q. He was the bar supervisor, and he was the best supervisor anybody could have asked for. He made me want to come into work, and he made me want to, just be a part of the positive culture we were trying to create there. And he amazing person. He was a light in my life, and it's still surreal that we're even talking about him in past tense like this.
He's talking about Daniel Aston, who was killed Saturday night while bartending at the club as well. What do you say to that?
It's definitely hard to hear somebody that a lot of people I've heard up until this point describe as a beacon of light and just a wonderful person and a wonderful person to work with, and to hear somebody have to describe someone in the past tense that they either just saw or just had an interaction with is is heartbreaking. And what the description leads me to a place where, I mean, Club Q has been that. So that person represented what Club Q was to all of us, an open, welcoming space that made us feel like we could be ourselves, especially in situations where a lot of people can't be authentic at home. Club Q provided that safe space, and the bartenders were a part of that ecosystem.
And Stoney, you talked about the need for people outside of the community to be invested in it. In the aftermath of this, as we're learning more about the investigation, what do you want to hear from your political leaders, from your elected leaders in the state when they're speaking out about this?
I think for us, it's pointed. I think oftentimes when things happen, there are, vigils and there's space made so that friends and family can grieve and begin that process in community. And I think too often there are, whether it be local officials, things of that nature that do come and, they're there for that first wave of grief. But then after that, there's really nothing tangible that we can look back to and say, like, this is what came out of that. So I think what we need from our leaders at this point is just be true to what you're saying in your speeches, implement, those things. And we also need to all sit at the table and figure out what the next steps are. Because as tragic and heartbreaking as these circumstances are, our work really begins, today, right? Like we have to make space for friends and family to grieve, and to be there for them and provide community, but we also have to have action behind our words, and that falls on our local, state, and federal officials to do that.
As the Colorado Springs police.
Oh, poor kid. He's like still full of hope, thinking that our country is actually going to do something to help them. Oh, these kids, they have a very, very, very hard hit of reality hitting them because nobody cares. This guy's gonna do some time in jail, but it's not gonna stop like the actual problem. It's such a sad experience. It's still hard for me to fathom because, I grew up in that community. That is my community. They're amazing people. They just want to love who they want to love. And it always seems to be just these hateful people that just come in and completely ruin their lives for no reason, just because of their hatred. It's still heartbreaking, and it still hurts to even hear. And I'm still in speechless mode. I haven't even all of the whole thing hasn't even really sunk in. To me, it's just like, here we go again. It's a whole nother one. When I try to look at the similarities of the past and how this has gotten to be, I mean, minus the mental health problems and the lack of mental health needs and stuff. It's just, back in the day, there was, serial killers, and then we had mass shooters, and now we've got, mass shooters in schools and mass shooters in specific areas, like targeted mass shootings now. It's just horrible. It's like the more progressive and the more free that we try to get this country to be, the more those people fight with us, and we don't get it, and things get worse. It almost feels like we're just going to keep on getting worse and nothing's ever going to get fixed. Like just those, like a 1 step forward, 2 steps back. We do a little bit of progression, and then we're back to square one all over again. Yeah, exactly. You should know. Yeah, Terrence, Mr. Independent over here, definitely knows about politicians needing to be true to what they say in their speeches. Because, yeah, I know. Yeah, right. They probably voted for Biden. Oh, man. If the gunman has mental illness, he won't just go to jail for a while. That angle needs to be researched with him. Yeah, absolutely. Because a lot of them, they get off scot-free with the pleading insanity too. So, yeah, you have to wrap your head around it. Same. It's still like, what do we do? What can we do? What is our possibilities? What is our options? Just even getting gay couples legalized for marriage caused like an entire hoopla. So as long as these people continually hate, there's nothing ever going to change. I mean, allegedly this guy hated it, hated the LGBTQ plus community, but it just seems like there's a lot of people that feel that way, that do that kind of thing. And it's really, really upsetting because, yeah, like the mental health, how does that get fixed? How does, also when religion, the hatred towards them in religion, like how does that get fixed? It doesn't. You can't fix it. How do you get those people to realize what they're doing is wrong? You can't, because their God to them in their, rewritten Bible tells them that it's wrong. So I just don't feel like there's ever going to be a change or any kind of help for people. Yeah, it just doesn't seem like it's going to go anywhere. Right, the locked institutions for the insane, but they even put regular people in there too, and that's what sucks. Like those asylums are pretty freaking corrupt as well too. It's just a sad situation, and I don't even know what to say. I really, really don't even know what to say. It's sad. But thank goodness for that guy, Thank goodness that guy came to rescue and save the day. So, what I have next up on the topics. So we all know that Twitter, Elon over at Twitter decided to reinstate some people. He did not reinstate Mr. Alex Jones for his Sandy Hook bullcrap that he pulled. Alex Jones responded to Twitter and Elon not allowing him back into the platform. So decided we'd read this and kind of see how this goes. So he says this is criminal to not reinstating his Twitter account. All right. So Elon Musk's Twitter this week took the first steps towards his campaign promise of restoring some accounts previously banned when access was returned to satirical news site Babylon Bee and actress Kathy Griffin. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he seems like a mental health case too as well. But Musk drew the line at Alex Jones, responding to the suggestion of a return for the conspiracy theory with a theorist with a flat no. In a video posted to Rumble on Saturday, Jones responded with a rant about surveillance, censorship, and a European Union plot to keep him off social media platform, not to mention Donald Trump, who is the subject of a poll tweeted by Musk on account restoration. Alex Jones, along with his website InfoWars, was permanently suspended back in September of 2018. That ban came after a series of bans by fellow tech giants, Facebook, YouTube, Apple, and more. Jones, who was recently ordered to pay an incredible $1 billion in damages to the families of the victims of Sandy Hook shooting in a massive defamation suit, was one of the names floated to Elon Musk for lifetime ban reversals. So Elon Musk says, "What should I do next, Twitter?" Somebody replied, "Please bring back Alex Jones," and there is his tweet saying no. Jones responded by video outlining the international plot against his tweets and a domestic Twitter surveillance state, and claimed he doesn't even want to be back on Twitter right now. Good morning, Nikki. Good to see you. So let's watch his little video. Are they going to do data? Of course they are. Of course they are. And they want it to be 172 minutes. All right, we'll keep reading while it. Oh, no, we get to skip it. Okay. Good. All right, so let's see Mr. Whiner Baby and see what he has to say.
Elon Musk asked the question today, what should Twitter do next? And the resounding response by Twitter, tens of thousands of responses, was bring back Alex Jones. bring back Donald Trump. And to the question of bring back Alex Jones, he responded back and said no. Now, do I blame Elon Musk for this? No, ladies and gentlemen. And quite frankly, I don't care how we get brought back to Twitter. I care about any of these big tech platforms going back to free speech and back to the way the internet was 4 years ago before this reign of surveillance and censorship. Because this isn't just censorship. They're surveilling everything you say in live time, not just on Twitter, but Google, Facebook, all of it in live time. This is criminal. Even Senator Josh Hawley yesterday brought this up to the head of DHS, Mayorkas, and said, you're helping run the censorship and you're surveilling the American people and telling big tech who to censor. So Elon Musk has the EU threatening him not to bring back Alex Jones and Donald Trump. He has DHS behind the scenes with a bunch of moles inside his organization. There's a question right now on whether Twitter will even be able to continue on to the future because all of the sabotage. So as I said in the last month with this buildup, I want to see Twitter freed overall first and to see if Musk can even get control of it before we talk about Donald Trump or Alex Jones being brought back. Elon.
Today, I would like to recommend to you all.
How interesting. I want to watch it again, and they're going to make me watch a fucking ad all over again just to hear. I want to hear. Wait, is this more? Oh, here we go, bitches.
By Twitter, tens of thousands of responses was bring back Alex Jones.
No, it's the same one.
Bring back Donald Trump. And to the question of you're helping run this in live time. This is criminal. Even Senator Josh Hawley yesterday brought this up to the head of DHS, Mayorkas, and said, you're helping run the censorship and you're surveilling the American people and telling big tech who to censor. So Elon Musk has the EU threatening him not to bring back Alex Jones and Donald Trump. He has DHS behind the scenes with a bunch of moles inside his organization. There's a question right now on whether Twitter will even be able to continue on to the future because all of the sabotage. So as I said in the last month with this buildup, I want to see Twitter freed overall first and to see if Musk can even get control of it before we talk about Donald Trump or Alex Jones being brought back.
Interesting. Well, good luck, dude. I don't think that's going to happen for you, but all right. So Jones says Elon Musk asked the question today, what should Twitter do next? They said no, or he said no. Oh, they're just pretty much rewriting what he said. He says, now do I blame Elon for this? No. Quite frankly, I don't care if I get brought back to Twitter. I care about any of these big tech platforms going back to free speech and back to where the internet was 4 years ago before this reign of surveillance and censorship. Because this isn't just censorship. They're surveilling everything you say in live time, not just on Twitter, but Google, Facebook, and all of it in live time. Live time, real time. This is criminal. He then said the Department of Homeland Security and the EU don't want him back on Twitter and left it up in the air on whether Musk will even be able to save the company's future because of all the sabotage. So he's just degrading Twitter, making it look really, really bad because he's not allowed to be back on it. He's like being, he's being a whiner baby because he can't get back on Twitter. I'm pretty sure he fucking cares. I mean, if you looked at him when he said it, he's like, I don't care. And you notice like his eyes. Did you notice his eyes were like blinking a lot? That probably means that he's lying. But it's not going to be free speech. It's to an extent it's going to be free speech, but no, he just needs to get over it. And then like saying that I'm pretty sure it's a possibility that the Department of Homeland Security and the EU don't want him back on Twitter. I mean, it could be a possibility. So, right, Alex is desperate after getting wrecked. It's exactly what happened. Let's see if we can find, I guess it wouldn't really be on YouTube, huh? Alex Jones rant about Twitter. Twitter won't restore. It's just, man, I hate how they do like CNN first and blah, 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 all of that. Elon confirms there won't be, they won't reinstate Alex Jones. Oh, that's Shoe on Head talking about it. Okay. Oh, some Alex Jones 20 years ago. Let's listen to this.
Facts and common sense are in. Yes, there have been corrupt empires. Yes, they manipulate. Yes, there are secret societies. Yes, there have been oligarchies throughout history. And yes, today in 2002, there is a tyrannical organization calling itself the New World Order, pushing for worldwide government, a cashless society, open borders, total and complete tyranny, where human beings are absolutely worthless. There's 6.25+ billion of us, and the globalists have said it many times. There's too many of us. We're causing a problem. We need to be culled at the tune of 80%. It's amazing to talk about that, but it's the globalists, the UN, their own public statements, and they've convinced a lot of liberals and elitist conservatives and others that by going along with this, that we're intelligent members of society. It's the ultimate Malthus world view. It is this radical, virulent form of social Darwinism. It's the excuse of tyrants. And by creating open borders where there's no...
I'm wondering the same fucking thing, Lana. Like, I understand the world government, the EU, the European Union, NATO. I understand like wanting to make like a world government, but a cashless society, I don't think that it's a possibility. If you understand MMT, you would understand that. I don't think that we could possibly have a cashless society. I really, truly don't think that we could do that. But oh, and then the open borders, absolute tyranny because borders are open. I'm pretty sure that people have been migrating for centuries and centuries and millennia. I'm pretty sure people have been migrating for so long. And you're just now thinking that open borders is what's going to cause tyranny in the world? Okay. Whatever you say, bro. Like, I'm pretty sure the facts out there literally make you wrong, but man, I used to listen to Alex Jones back in like 20 years ago. That's fucking wild. Open borders equals globalism. Exactly, according to Alex Jones. Yeah. Communism calls for a moneyless society. I honestly, truly think I don't think that can be a possibility. Understanding monetary sovereignty, national sovereignty, trades, MMT, anything that has to do with economics. It's just, there's no way, at least within my lifetime, I don't think that we would ever become a cashless society. I honestly, truly don't think that we could, just because of the obsession with commodities as well that our country has. Like, even if the dollar goes down, people are so obsessed with gold that, that's still a commodity. It's still worth its weight in dollars. So I just don't feel like the actual part would ever, the cashless part would ever. I mean, I can see digitally, we could be, obviously we're doing more digitally than we are cash, but there's still a ton of people with cash too. Yeah, definitely would want to talk the cashless society separate for sure. Definitely. That'd be a really fun thing to talk about one day. Open borders. Trump likes to throw that out too. Yep, absolutely. Even in a utopian society, monetary system would be useful as a fair form of resource distribution. Yeah, absolutely. The only solution to globalism for these people is white nationalism. Exactly. Yeah. And then they won't say that though. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I don't doubt it could take centuries to get them on. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm not going to put it past people because obviously we've digitized our money system immensely as it is, especially when it comes to like balancing the national budget, or, even like trying to divvy out the money while taxing, all of that balancing out that is done is in a way cashless itself because it's all, you know, computer strokes and stuff. So yeah, I could see it definitely in the future, just not not in my life. At least even with me too, because I'm like, even if everybody in the country, like in America, is like, we're done with cash, we just want to go digital, my stupid ass would be like, no, I still need the cash. I've never even owned like a debit card or a credit card or anything. So I'm freaking terrified. I'm like, oh, there's like invisible money on this plastic, and you're telling me I'm allowed to spend this, but if I spend more, then I'm gonna end up owing you guys for debt. I'm just never gonna own this plastic. Never have to worry about that. But I don't have like a, you know, a shopping problem or anything either too. So Rohan or Brett Scott, yeah, that would be really fun. There is a social form of currency called labor vouchers. Ooh, I want to look into all of that. That would be really fun to do, like a day of currency, just talk about, you know, cash and how that works. That would be really fun. You forgot to like this stream. Thanks for liking it. Let's see what else they're saying. When does Alex Jones poll begin? There's the response. Oh, is this one? This one's a little bit longer.
And you're surveilling the American people and telling big tech who to censor. So Elon Musk has the EU threatening him not to bring back Alex Jones and Donald Trump. He has DHS behind the scenes with a bunch of moles inside his organization. There's a question right now on whether Twitter will even be able to continue on to the future because all of the sabotage. So as I said in the last month with this buildup, I want to see Twitter freed overall first and to see if Musk can even get control of it before we talk about Donald Trump or Alex Jones being brought back. But at the end of the day, that doesn't matter. I've built Infowars.com. I've built our syndicated radio show and TV show that reaches tens of millions a day. You've built it with your word of mouth. And we're not going to sit there and hope that Elon Musk can free Twitter. We've got Rumble. We've got Gab. We've got Getter. We've got Telegram. We've got so many other great platforms. So we're going to continue to energize those and promote those and get those out to the world. Just because there's tyranny at Twitter and tyranny at Facebook and tyranny at Google and tyranny at Apple doesn't mean we can't build our own system. That's the reason Joe Rogan went to Spotify when YouTube, owned by Google, was trying to censor him a few years ago. It's not that Spotify's perfect, but they told Joe, we won't censor you. And now they're number one in podcasting, showing that free speech is what people want. And that's what is innovating. And that's what is successful. So at the end of the day, I'm betting on humanity. I'm betting on free speech. I'm betting on the Renaissance. I'm betting on you and America being the leaders again of free speech worldwide. I understand why Musk did this. He's got the ADL and the Democratic Party on him. He's got the EU on him, trying to shut him down right now. So don't put all your eggs in Elon Musk's basket, but support him trying to free up Twitter. And don't blame Musk at the end of the day because he didn't bring me back. I'm the most controversial figure in the world because I'm the most threatening to the New World Order. So don't expect him to bring me back day one when he has to first get control of the platform.
How is he threatening to the New World Order? Is the New World Order like afraid of his gay frogs? I'm totally lost and confused on how that's even a possibility. How is he afraid? How is the New World Order afraid of him? You gonna send your gay frogs over there?
Think about that. But again, not gonna think about Musk, not gonna put my eggs in his basket. I'm gonna continue to build the real free open platform of the people at Infowars.com and Band.video. So that's my exclusive response to Elon Musk saying no to bring back Alex Jones. My answer is that's fine, Elon. Just follow through on your promise to bring back some semblance of freedom to Twitter. Let's see if you can actually get that done.
No, I don't think he's going to. Yeah, DPRK, he has delusions of grandeur similar to Trump. Absolutely. Yes, definitely does. Yeah, let me is that on YouTube? I can go check it out and see if it's on the YouTubes. What's he got against gay frogs? Nothing. He thinks the water is turning them gay. But what's really happening is, I guess the water is like really bad. This company keeps spilling stuff into the water out there at the time. And it wasn't turning the frogs gay. It was changing their gender. Like it was turning them in, like males were turning into females because of the dirtiness of the water and stuff that was in there. It was actually changing their DNA, which frogs' DNA is very complex and different anyway. There's a lot of evolution that happens with them as well. And there are certain frogs that are asexual that can produce themselves too. So you're right. Let the frogs live their best lives. Exactly. Okay. So, what is it called? American Cold War Propaganda Red Nightmare. Okay. American Cold War Propaganda Red Nightmare. 626. Is it that top one right there? Sure is.
Freedom.
All right, let's watch it. Let's see what it says first. Okay, doesn't say anything. So just American Cold War propaganda. Oh, this is about the Russian scare. Okay, I'm down.
And you. The Donovans, happy, healthy, contented, living in a land they're proud of. It's a nice picture.
I think it's just wonderful of the Armed Forces Committee to let us use this strip today.
Now, in a few minutes, Jerry Donovan, father, fisherman, machinist, and loyal American, will be asleep. But tonight, instead of the sweet dreams his wife wished him, let's give Jerry a nightmare, a real red nightmare.
As a member of the Young Communist League, your daughter has volunteered for farm work. She's to be transported immediately. The truck is waiting outside.
Wait a minute, let me get something straight. You say my daughter volunteered?
That is correct. Here's the signature. Requesting transport to the People's Collective.
Signature on that piece of paper is false. Everything you've said is a lie because my daughter would never leave here of her own free will.
Sergeant!
You've got no right to be in this house. I'm going to give you just 10 seconds to get out of here.
Daddy? It's true, Daddy. I did volunteer for farm work.
Brenda, why?
The party convinced me that I should free myself of the lingering bourgeois influence of family life. I am ready.
Honey.
You're so funny. I just went right here around the corner in my bedroom or in my bathroom to go pee really quick. I have it loud enough I can hear it.
Do not interfere.
You better listen to me. All of you. This is going to be a family again, and I know just where to start. You two are going to Sunday school, and you're going right now.
Mommy, tell her.
No use to argue.
Mom!
This time, I'm going to overrule the party. Come on.
Dad!
They've been poisoning you kids with those lies long enough. Now you're really going to find out what the truth is all about.
We tried to tell you, Dad, but you wouldn't listen. There is no more Sunday school. Please take us home now, Daddy. Everybody's looking at us.
Somebody made a big mistake. Come on, we're going to get this straightened out right now. Come on. Come on inside. Come on, Jimmy. What's happened? What have they done?
Keep your voice down, comrade. Otherwise, I shall have to report you.
Who put these displays in here? This is a house of worship.
You are mistaken. This is the People's Museum. And I am warning you once more.
This place is a lie. Everything about it is false. These models? This was not invented by a Russian. Everything on this table is as phony as the town. The rotten system you call communism.
Literally POV, like a person who sees a gay dude in fucking Colorado. That's exactly what happens. It's the same fucking shit. That's wild to me. Just because there's Russian inventions in this building, he doesn't get his Sunday church anymore. He gets to throw a temper tantrum like a fucking Karen. Who does this get? Man, no wonder there's Karens in our society. Like, look at the kind of shit that people were watching back in the day. Everybody's got like their old, I'm better than them and what I think is right and you're wrong. So you should fucking get your ass kicked because I think you're wrong. Jeez, you remember this stuff, Holly? Oh no. I would lose my shit if I ever saw something like this. I would probably end up making a fucking commercial or like a cartoon of it making fun of it, you know? Yeah, absolutely. I'll put the link in the description for you, Nikki.
They took away my daughter. They desecrated a house of worship and replaced religious objects with phony displays. And they called it a museum. They even tried to turn my own kids against me. My wife.
Wait, how was his kids turned against him? His kids were just telling him that it was no longer Sunday school and church and that they told him so. He just can't handle being wrong. Is that why he thinks that his kids are turned against him? It's because his kids told him that he was wrong. Our society and culture used to be a fucking train wreck.
Mrs. Donovan, this document contains your signed statement. Is it true?
Yes.
The prisoner stands condemned by his own words. Comrade Donovan, you are hereby sentenced to be shot.
You communists. You rattle off a lot of fancy words, don't you? Like imperialism, and deviationism, proletariat.
Don't worry, Jerry. That bullet will never reach you. Because it's time to bring you back from your red nightmare.
Hello there.
Hi, Daddy.
Hi, Mr. Donovan. Well, if you two kids don't have this car in shape by now, I don't think you ever will. If you'd like to talk some more about that marriage business, you better catch me while I'm in a good mood.
But we have decided to wait. Not 5 years, mind you. But at least I've finished my hitch in the service.
That's a wise decision, Bill. Yes, indeed, I think that's a very wise decision.
Jerry knows now, so he'll never forget it. The American. You and millions more like you. As our military might guards the continued existence of freedom and peace under God, our strength and shield is you, the civilian who...
Tell me this is not the cringiest thing you've ever seen in your goddamn life. I literally feel like crawling out of my own skin. I'm so embarrassed for this show. This is gross. Like all that American exceptionalism with those people walking down the stairs and the flag flying. That's gross. You're right, Nikki. You never woke up from that nightmare, buddy. You're still in it. It's just American capitalism instead of communism. Exactly. Yeah, see, there you go. Now he's back in capitalism. Yay. Fucking stupid.
Respects his responsibilities. And the American in uniform. You, the men who fly our Air Force planes, and those who keep them in the sky as a mighty persuasion for peace. As long as our soldiers and sailors, airmen and Marines, are skilled in the use of modern and efficient weapons, fired with imagination to adventure into the future, the chains of communist slavery never will close on the free world.
I love those little quick clips of actual recent strikes on other countries from America. You gotta love that. That was really good part in that. That's all I know is the word imperialism. It reminds me of Star Wars.
You communists. You rattle off a lot of fancy words, don't you? Like imperialism.
Oh, you stole that from that dude. I need a nap. my God, that is insane. The things that the government would put for us to watch on TV and then us just sucking that in like it's good information. Now there's examples right there of why we are how we are now. It's disgusting. Exposed Ivy League. Oh no, this is just new stuff. Okay. Yeah, no. The history short, the Red Scare, Cold War nuclear defense. Let's do this one, the Red
What happens when you challenge
I'm always down for watching things that are 420 long. To the time is 420.
every aspect of American life, economically, politically, and socially? You get one of the most daunting domestic affairs in American history, the Red Scare. In 1917, during World War I, a revolution occurred in Russia named the Bolshevik Revolution. This removed the Tsar monarchy that had ruled Russia and replaced it with a system based off the ideas of Karl Marx, otherwise known as communism. But it wasn't until the final stages of World War II that the American people truly began to see a threat from communism. With former leaders such as FDR and Winston Churchill out of power, the leader of the Soviet Union, Joseph Stalin, sought to spread communist influence. And with significant contrast between democracy and communism, the United States naturally got put on edge, paving way for internal concern for communist development, beginning what has now become known as the Red Scare. In 1938,
DPRK, I got that up in the let's just watch it because I don't even know if that video is going to be any good. So have you no decency, American experience? Is it this top one? Okay.
Mothers who never watched TV during the day were glued to watching the Army McCarthy hearings.
The television moment of the Army McCarthy hearings that is lived in memory ever since is the famous moment on June 9th, 1954, when McCarthy decides to violate an agreement that Cohn and Welch should come to before the hearings.
Roy Cohn, although of perfect draft age, had managed to avoid the Korean War and the draft afterwards. It was kind of astonishing. Joe Welch said, fine.
Of course, because they wanted them to work 7 days a week. That's why it was a threat to humanity. Communists were like, no, we can, if everybody works together and we all do it in our own happy ways, then everybody's going to benefit. And they're like, no. We need to have you work a buttload so we can start producing so much stuff so we can start selling a lot of stuff. Yeah, capitalism versus communism. But communism is the bad guy, of course. No sleeping, less bones. We got gaming to do today, bitch.
Never bring up your draft status. But we have a problem of our own. We have a young attorney named Fred Fisher, who was a member of a Communist Front group while he was at Harvard Law School. And we brought him down to work on the committee. We decided that because of his past, we would send him home. And I would appreciate it if you would never bring up Fred Fisher.
Throughout most of that afternoon, Roy Cohn and Joseph Welch had been having your basic nasty lawyerly argument. And Cohn's okay with it.
Mr. Welch, sir, with great respect, I work for the committee here. They know how we go about handling situations of communist infiltration and failure to act on FBI information about communist infiltration.
And may I add my small voice, sir, and say whenever you know about a subversive or a communist or a spy, please hurry. Will you remember those words?
But McCarthy gets so angry at Welch's badgering of Roy Cohn that he blurts out the name of Fred Fisher.
In view of Mr. Welch's request, I think we should tell him that he has in his law firm a young man named Fisher, who has been for a number of years a member of an organization which was named, years and years ago, as the legal bulwark of the Communist Party. And I have hesitated bringing that up, but I have been rather bored with your phony request to Mr. Cohen here.
Little did I dream you could be so reckless and so cruel as to do an injury to that lad. It is true he is still with Hale and Dorr. It is true that he will continue to be with Hale and Dorr. It is, I regret to say, equally true that I fear he shall always bear a scar needlessly inflicted by you.
You'll look at Roy Cohn's face and you will see him go, oh my God, no, please no. But McCarthy won't stop. He keeps attacking.
I want to say, Mr. Welch, that it has been labeled long before he became a member, as early as 1944.
Senator, may we not drop this? I did you, I think, no personal injury, Mr. Cohen.
No, sir.
And if I did, I beg your pardon. Let us not assassinate this lad further, Senator. You've done enough. Have you no sense of decency, sir? At long last, have you left no sense of decency?
You could see Joe McCarthy going, what did I do? What did I do? Joe Welch literally has a tear in his eye. This was seen as spontaneous. In fact, Welch had been thinking of this for months. Jim St. Clair, who was second in command to Joe Welch, said, we walked out the side door, the door closed behind us. He winked at me and said, how did I do? And they said, great, you did great.
The fact that McCarthy really didn't seem to have any sense of decency, and the fact that he'd been caught publicly in lies over the course of these 6 weeks, the public's capacity to trust him, the belief that he was engaged in this anti-communist crusade as some sort of earnest attempt to protect American society, as opposed to a demagogic bullying spree. At the end of it, I think all the illusions, the comfortable illusions that McCarthy had cultivated about himself had effectively been dispelled.
It was as if the entire...
Yeah, I'm right there with you too, Les Bones. I don't understand how this is on PBS. Is this like a pro-communist documentary? Because this is really good.
The country had been waiting for somebody to finally say this line, have you no sense of decency, that to Senator McCarthy. That's the moment where McCarthy incinerates himself on national TV. It's the moment in which the dragon that is Joseph McCarthy is finally slain.
American experience, power feeds on fear. Ain't that about right? It's just against McCarthy? Oh, okay. Damn, that was really, really good. I want to one day do videos on McCarthy and learn about this person. I read a lot about history, but man, I miss some people, I guess, when I read it. I mean, I've heard the whole have you no decency, sir, but I don't even know where it came from. That's really interesting. Wow. Well, speaking of corrupt politicians and anti-communism, I guess. Who is Hakeem Jeffries? I guess he's going to be the new House Speaker, the U.S., or I guess the leader of the House of the Democrats. And I wanted to do like a little bit of research. I did a little bit of research on this guy last night on like who is this guy? And it seems to me like he's been kind of like bred and like groomed into becoming the head and taking over Nancy Pelosi's spot. It almost feels like it is. But you know, that was really interesting. But with it not being pro-communist, just anti-McCarthy, there should have been like a pro-communist wave that came after that, at least. I would have thought so, but it was those times. People were very reserved back then. But yeah, this Hakeem Jeffries guy. He is announcing his bid formally on Friday to become the Democratic leader in the House, a day after Pelosi announced she was giving up her role. If he wins, he would become the first Black lawmaker. More virtue signaling. I remember it used to be really awesome. Like, let's get a woman in here. Let's get a person of color in here. And then we find out that these people are just, the same as all the rest of them. Like, a politician is its own race, its own like species. Yeah, no, I think she's gonna put him in herself. I think she's, from what I've been hearing, even the squad isn't gonna be fighting her against this. So I'm not sure. It seems like he's gonna be the guy. I mean, if he wins, but we can still learn about him. He's 52 years old. They're saying that he would embody not only the party's diverse voter base, but also a new generation of leadership in the House as well. Hakeem Jeffries is very hostile, to the left. He once said there will never be a moment that I will bend the knee to Democratic Socialists. Yeah. That's why I want to figure out who this guy is. You gotta go. You need it. Yeah, no. If you're live right now, once I'm done with my show, I will head over there. Are you live right now watching me on your show? You better not be. I swear to God, you're gonna scare me. Okay, no, you're not. All right. Making me nervous. Yeah, if you want to hop on now, I've got about 40 minutes left of my show, and then I'll get all the people over onto Twitch and we'll go and raid you. And then I'll come and watch you for the rest of the time that you're on. Thank you, Nikki. I love you, girl. See you soon. Okay, so let's continue. Pelosi's decision to step down after 2 decades leading the House Democratic Caucus came a day after Republicans commented a narrow majority in the chamber and prepared to name a speaker from their own party. If he gets the job, come on, phone. If he gets the job, Jeffries would have to navigate not only the responsibilities of being the head of a minority party in the chamber, balancing when to cooperate with the Republicans and when to defend Joe, but also the delicate task of keeping his fellow Democrats on the same page. One of the trickiest challenges could be easing tensions between the party's centrist and its restive left flanks. The often reserved Jeffries, known as Cool Ha by college fraternity. Oh, so he is a frat boy as well. Sorry, I gagged a little. That's disgusting. Sorry. He put on a more pugilistic display at a news conference this week. He lashed out at what he called extreme MAGA Republicans taking control of the House, a reference to Republican Donald Trump's Make America Great Again slogan. He announced his bid in a letter saying, I write to humbly ask for your support for the position of the House Democratic leader as we once again prepare to meet the moment. Meet the moment. Do you hear that? Sheesh. Okay, they're just gonna sit here and give him a whole bunch of fluff pieces. So I want to cover some of what the other things are saying about him. I found a little bit of a Fox article or a Fox News thing on it, and I thought we could watch like some videos on how like people really think of him. I have another one where he went himself to the late night with Seth Meyers about 3 years ago. So we get to hear him before he ever, decided that he was going to run. And then also a couple of years ago, while he was also still the House person in New York, he went on the Breakfast Club, which I don't know if we'll watch the Breakfast Club because I watched about 10 minutes of it and it looks like they're just fawning for him still. But at least we can watch some some Fox News stuff about it. The gag. One day I'm going to make somebody throw up from my gags and it's going to be funny.
Beautiful Friday morning, and we're going to start with Hakeem Jeffries. He's the favorite to replace Nancy Pelosi. Lauren, what do we know about him?
Well, he's considered heir apparent to Pelosi. He's represented Brooklyn and Queens since 2013, and he is currently chair of the House Democratic Caucus. He's got the support of Jim Clyburn, Steny Hoyer, both of whom are leaving their leadership positions. He's 52. He's 30 years younger, 30 years the junior.
Yeah, I heard that he was on there yesterday. I was thinking about today while at least because I don't know if you want to come back. You probably want a day off for playing video games, but I figured today while I was playing some games, I'd watch that and see how that went. Maybe we could talk about it tomorrow.
And these top Democrats. So this is generational change.
Yep.
He is a moderate, a centrist, and he often clashes with AOC and the squad.
I'd like to know what a moderate centrist is in the Democrat Party these days.
Because I thought Joe Biden was one. In
Yeah.
fact, that's how he campaigned.
Yeah, he did. It did turn out that way, didn't it? Oh, look who's here now. Guy Benson, the man himself. I want to talk about the balance of power among House Democrats. I don't really know Hakeem Jeffries' politics, not really. But the socialist bloc, that's expanded. It's now the squad plus 4 new members. Do you think they've got increased influence in the House?
Well, just the math would suggest yes, Stu. And look, Hakeem Jeffries is to the center of the squad, but pretty far to the left of the American people. And you look at what he's voted for, what he supports, his Twitter footprint and his social media past. I mean, this is a pretty lefty guy. So it'll be interesting to see how he...
Yeah, you're right. They all do. So we just kind of leave that part alone and ignore them talking about the far left and all of that. Yeah, they're just gonna, that's what they do. You have to go to sleep early. Okay. Well, if you don't, then I will do it by myself today.
In a leadership position, a new leadership position, tries to wrangle this raucous group, some of whom, and a growing number of whom, as you point out, are really out there on the far left. They're now in the minority, which is obviously a much less enjoyable position if you're in the House. You have very few powers, but I think he'll have some early tests to see how well he can hold things together. Pelosi, lover or hater, was a master at it, and it will not be easily replicated.
Now, the Republicans are going to have a tiny majority, a very, very small majority indeed, in the House. Is that majority big enough to let them stop some of the leftist trend that we see among the Democrats in the House?
Yeah, because the Republicans are going to basically take the left-wing Democratic Biden agenda and kill it. It's over. They're not going to be able to bring up votes. They're not going to be able to pass huge reconciliation bills where they can spend $1 trillion purely on party lines. That's over. All it took was a 1-seat Republican majority.
No, but they can spend billions of dollars on Ukraine. So that's the only difference. They're not going to bring up that part. Yeah, the House is going to be a majority of Republicans, and any progressive bills are going to get dead or are dead on arrival when they reach the House. But I'm pretty sure any Republican, centrist bills are going to get passed just fine.
Slam the brakes on all of that, which I think is great news. Also some accountability, the Republicans taking over the committees. That is still, Stu, a very different question then, and you didn't ask this question, but I'll answer it anyway. Will this be a functional Republican majority in the House?
Yes.
And I think the jury is very much out on that.
Okay, one quick question. I thought we'd passed, or they had passed, the Inflation Reduction Act, which was really a climate act. I thought it was passed. You can't change it now, can you?
Correct. It is law. And so everything that's happened over the last 2 years will remain in place. The likelihood of repealing anything significant is not happening because the Democrats will have the Senate and the White House. But anything moving forward for the next 2 years will require bipartisanship, and this party line, our way or the highway mentality of the Democrats, no longer tenable, even with a slim Republican.
Our way or the
president of the association.
Wait. He said our way or the highway. That's Republicans too,
All right, folks,
though.
yes, it is.
Why did that do that? The our way or the highway shit is Republicans also. Look at what happened with the Supreme Court justice, the three or the two, the three that got in a few years ago. That come on now, Democrat or Republicans. You can't sit there and say that Democrats are the only ones that have the do what we want, or else, whatever. We just do what we want kind of thing. Like the omitting and the victim mentality on their end when it comes to Democrats being in charge is sickening. At least I can listen to Fox News when Trump was in office because I could sit there and talk shit. But when like a Democrat's in office and these guys go off, it's just like they never talk about their own bad stuff. But they're literally doing the same thing that the Democrats do. There's no fucking difference. Yeah, they invent the narrative. Exactly. Can we raid the Vanguard? Maybe on maybe tomorrow or on Friday. I can definitely do it. I already told Nikki I would raid her. I can't not raid her. Plus, I'm only one person, so when I raid over there, it's so lonely. I'm like a party of one. That's all right. I can party by myself anyway. He's a Limp Bizkit fan. Right? All Republicans are Limp Bizkit fans. Don't you know that? It's gross. DPRK, they're a band that got really big out here in America back in like the 2000s, and they suck. No, I would absolutely love to raid other people. Like I said though, over on Twitch, it's the Twitch raids. I have not set up the raids in YouTube yet. I don't know how to do that. And plus we just got enough people to monetize, and we haven't monetized ourselves yet. So your name is Kid Rock. But once I figure out how to raid in the YouTube part, that's going to be a lot of fun. Oh, you know who they are. Okay. No, it's, Les Bone says it as a joke. Because he knows how much I hate Limp Bizkit.
Is that majority big enough to let them stop some of the leftist trend that we see among the Democrats in the House?
Yeah, because the Republicans are going to basically take the left-wing Democratic Biden agenda and kill it. It's over. They're not going to be able to bring out votes. They're not going to be able to pass huge reconciliation bills where they can spend $1 trillion purely on party lines. That's over. All it took was a one-seat Republican majority to slam the brakes on all of that, which I think is great news. Also some accountability, the Republicans taking over the committees. That is still, Stu, a very different question then, and you didn't ask this question, but I'll answer it anyway. Will this be a functional Republican majority in the House?
Yes.
And I think the jury is very much out on that.
Okay, one quick question. I thought we'd passed, or they had passed, the Inflation Reduction Act, which was really a climate act. I thought it was passed. You can't change it now, can you?
Correct. It is law. And so everything that's happened over the last 2 years will remain in place. The likelihood of repealing anything significant is not happening because the Democrats will have the Senate and the White House. But anything moving forward for the next 2 years will require bipartisanship, and this party line, our way or the highway mentality of the Democrats, no longer tenable, even with a slim Republican majority in one chamber, which they now have in the lower chamber.
It's going to be a wonderful 2 years, isn't it? We're all going to have a lot of fun, Guy.
How is that wonderful? How are you going to say that that's a good thing, that the people of the country aren't going to get anything that they want or desire, that everything's going to be blocked? Like, how are you going to sit there and say that, dude? And say it as if it's, and then laugh as if it's a good thing? That's disgusting. That's Republicans for you. If they don't get the backtracking of the good old America of the 1950s, then they don't want anything, and they're gonna backtrack it, and everyone's gonna be happy about it. Like, he gets to go home to his probably multi-million-dollar mansion with his fucking private jet and everything that he wants as well, while we're all out here suffering. But nothing's gonna happen in the next 2 years. Everything's gonna be blocked. So just remember that they're saying that themselves, that they're gonna, keep everything from happening in the next 2 years. So don't expect shit. Just expect to sit here on our asses like we did during the pandemic. Just sit here on our asses for 2 years. Oh, well, Roland was a favorite one of yours because it was the theme to the NHL Blitz Fun game. Oh, okay. I did not know that. I bet they made some good amount of money off of that. Jesus.
Great to be here.
You just got back from D.C., yes?
Just got off Amtrak.
Just got off Amtrak. I'm sure you do that trip a fair amount. You grew up here?
Grew up in Brooklyn.
Grew up in Brooklyn.
Really quick before YouTube gets, tells me that I'm putting in old information as new information and then it's misinformation. I get a copyright strike. This is from a couple of years ago. Okay, YouTube? Okay.
Represent Brooklyn, part of Queens. Brooklyn, I imagine, has changed a fair amount since you grew up there?
Absolutely. Brooklyn's a great place. We gave the world Jackie Robinson, Shirley Chisholm, Coney Island, Junior's Cheesecake, and the Notorious B.I.G.
Yeah. Not a bad bunch.
That's a pretty good
good,
combination.
yeah. And does it still feel like home when you get back here?
It does. It's changing a lot. And one of the challenges that, we all are working through is making sure that we can maintain the diversity that has made Brooklyn such a special place. We want to continue to be.
He's a lot of changes in the diversity and shit. Like, yo, bro, your area is poor and you need to fucking help them. Sorry.
A collection of neighborhoods where working families, middle-class folks, senior citizens, young people who are starting out, artists can continue to call Brooklyn home. So we have a real affordable housing crisis that we have to address.
You obviously mentioned right there the value of diversity. We talked last night about Donald Trump and his comments about Ilhan Omar, your colleague. What's your response to when you saw that, and also your response to what seems to be a more muted reaction to it from your Republican colleagues?
Well, those were very dangerous and divisive remarks that were made. And words have consequences, particularly when delivered by the so-called leader of the free world. And there are people who can inspire and incite to do violent things.
Inspire and incite to do violent things. Tell me that is not exact word for word spewing point of the Democratic Party. Like, they've got scripts to memorize. That's absolutely insane to me that I have heard that so many multiple times from so many different politicians. And when I went to research this guy, this is what I heard him say. I was like, oh yeah, you're going to get that spot. You're totally going to get that spot because you're a typical Democrat that they all, that the corrupt Democrats absolutely fucking love. So he's just repeating and spewing those same fucking talking points.
And so I think my colleagues on the Republican side of the aisle would do well in calling up their president and saying, cut it out. You're going to get someone hurt. We feel like we're going to continue to denounce the outrageous behavior when it occurs, but we need partners on the other side of the aisle. And we need people to start saying, you know what? There are certain things where this is not a Democratic issue or Republican issue. It's an American issue. And let's put America, let's put country ahead of party.
Obviously, that one of the stories this week was Donald Trump sort of calling out the squad, these 4 progressive members of Congress. Earlier in the week, it seemed like there was some conflict within the Democratic Party. Progressives maybe feeling a little bit overlooked by leadership, or maybe leadership working to undercut the enthusiasm for maybe progressive ideas. I know you guys put out a statement today, different factions, I should say, of the Democratic Party. Is there internal conflict in the party right now?
Well, we represent the gorgeous mosaic of the American people. And so from time to time, there are going to be differences of opinion because we are incredibly diverse. This is the most diverse Congress in the history of the country.
So the squad isn't being listened to. They're being left out in the dust. The progressive, at least quote unquote progressive aisle of the Democratic wing is at that time, a couple of years ago, was wanting to do something, and there might have been divisiveness. And what does he have to say? We're a plethora of diverse people, and we're doing more than we ever have before, and we're super diverse, like more typical Democratic talking points. He is literally bred and groomed to take Nancy Pelosi's spot. he fits it perfectly. Like he's just fitting that mold. And you notice he reminds me a lot of Obama. A lot of Obama.
Women serving in Congress than ever before. More African Americans, more Latinos, more Asian Americans, more Native American women, and more members of the LGBTQ community than ever before. And the diversity is only on the Democratic side.
Yeah.
And as a result of that,
they have more, I think they have more Dans than ever before.
The diversity is on the Democratic side. You hear him? So like he talked about the interviewer was asking him about the divisiveness in the party, and he just comes in saying, we have this, we've done this, and then waits for applause for every one of them so he can get that little bit of attention that he loves. Yeah, no, this is exactly the Democratic spewing points right here. This interview is very similar to the Nancy Pelosi one we were watching the other day as well.
That's absolutely right.
Yeah.
But despite our different life experiences and the differences of perspective, we're united behind a common purpose. We have a for the people agenda. We want to lower healthcare costs. We want to protect the more than 130 million people who have pre-existing conditions.
Then don't lower healthcare cost. Completely cut it out. If you want people to get better and you want people's health to get better, you do not make them pay for it. If you are a government who cares about your constituents, who cares about the people in your society, in your country, you do not say that I care about these people's health, but then say lowering the cost. Shouldn't have to pay for it. I'm sorry. You want your people working. You want your people to be healthy enough to go and work for you guys so that way our economy keeps running, the cog and the wheel keeps spinning. Then fucking take care of your people. You're literally begging us to run ourselves down into the dirt until there's nothing left of us and then just leave us on the curb like a homeless person that needs help. That's exactly what you do. It's pretty much almost similar to like the pop icon star culture in South Korea, or even the Hollywood culture here in America. The people who are like artists that run themselves to the ground to where they get hospitalized and shit. Especially, I noticed it especially like in South Korea with the pop icon idol stuff. It's you don't care about the people. So I support diversity in politics, but be honest, if I was forced to choose between neoliberal racial diversity and socialism, I would choose, yeah, absolutely, 100%. And that's what sucks is like we as Americans got tricked into thinking that, the diversity comment was a big thing for us, that it would bring about change. And a lot of us in America learned, like with Obama, it didn't fucking change. Like just because he's a person of color doesn't mean his mindset is thinking that way. They don't care. That's why I say that these politicians are like their own species, their own race. There is no, when they say diversity, it's not diverse because they're all politicians in their minds. So there is no diversity in politics in either side, left or right. There's just more white people on the right side. That's all there is. There's a lot of more people of color on the left side, but they still think the same. So there's no, yeah, you got to say cat, bro. Yeah. They just can't fathom the fact that people can, get like these hospitals and doctors and stuff can get, a good amount of subsidies instead of giving it to the military industrial complex. Hospitals and doctors could get these subsidies and then the people wouldn't have to pay. We as citizens would not have to pay for a healthcare. It'll be taken care of with the government subsidies, but we allow our government to give subsidies to the wrong corporations and the wrong companies instead of the ones that actually benefit society. But diversity is huge, though. Don't forget that. Don't forget the diversity part. The uniparty, exactly. Exactly. And even behind the scenes, Pelosi is always going to be pulling the strings, even if she's not in charge. I think she's only stepping down because of all the stuff that's been happening with her husband. She just probably wants to step down from the leadership. but she's going to be leading still. She's still a whip. She still does all lobbying and everything. She's like their number one fundraiser. So of course they're going to sit there and listen to her. Even if this guy is in charge, he's still going to listen to her. Obama listened. Shit. It's possible that we will not have M4A Medicare for all for the next 15 years because of Jeffries. It's a possibility. He's young new blood and he thinks exactly like Pelosi. So I could definitely see that coming.
The Trump administration wants to take away that health care protection. That's reckless. We're going to stop it. We want to drive down the high cost of life-saving prescription drugs. We want a real infrastructure plan that we believe can create up to 16 million good-paying jobs.
You had a real infrastructure plan. We had one last year, and you decided to pass Build Back Better instead of the infrastructure one. So don't lie. You're a fucking liar.
The things that unite Democrats and will continue to unite us moving forward against the aggressive conservatism that's coming out of 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
Oh, brother. There's also there's also this other one. I'm going to show it really quick because I've got like 15 minutes. Whoop, whoop, and then I can be done. Where he was on The Breakfast Club. So I'll start a little bit when he starts asking a question right here.
Congressman, I wanted you on this morning for a few reasons, man. We talk a lot about candidates having a Black agenda, which they should have, but what should our agenda as Black people be right now that the election is over? What should we be focused on?
It's a great question, and we have a real good opportunity, given the role that the Black community played in elevating Joe Biden as the nominee and then carrying him over the finish line. Of course, the great House Majority Whip Jim Clyburn played, an incredibly consequential role in advance of South Carolina. That then catapulted Joe Biden into Super Tuesday and beyond. And then we saw incredible turnout throughout the key battleground states as it relates to the African-American community. And so we've always said that Election Day is not the end, it's the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And what follows from Election Day, and Charlamagne, you talked a lot about this, is accountability.
So people of color, how are you doing in America for the last 2 years since Joe Biden has been president? Because to this guy, apparently the Black people came out and helped Joe Biden win office, and now what do we got to prove for it, Mr. Jeffries? Like what do we got for that? What did you guys get for that? Did you guys get equity? Did you get lower sentencing? Did you get any kind of police reform? Did you get anything? I'm just asking for a friend.
To improving the condition of African Americans and all Americans, but focused on African Americans for purpose of this exchange, is dealing with first the systemic racism that has been in the soil of America for 401 years. And we've come a long way. We still have a long way to go. But in the aftermath of the assassination of George Floyd in Minneapolis, there's been an awakening across the country, opening up an opportunity to finally try to deal with some of these issues of racial, social, and economic injustice, combined with the pandemic.
An awakening to deal with, or to have an opportunity to deal with this. Do you see all those little fluff words that he used? To the opportunity to do it. There's no, we're going to do this. This is going to happen. It's just opportunities. There is no opportunities. The fake hope that these politicians on the left have is sickening. I would say it's heartbreaking, but it doesn't make my heart break. It makes my stomach turn. It's like, you guys really for this long, or seriously, like, it's past the point of I feel cringe for you. It's to the point where now I'm like, I feel sick for you. It's disgusting. You don't support violence, but I literally wouldn't care if Hakeem died. He's a psychopath. You have no compassion for psychopaths. Ooh, get it. Yeah, not gonna lie. Yesterday was the first time I ever heard of him. Everybody, I was trying to find some news stuff last night. All the news was about who's this new Hakeem Jeffries guy. So I was like, all right, well, then I guess we're gonna look and see who this motherfucker is. I didn't even know who he was. He totally reminds me of Obama. He's like an Obama 2.0. So yeah, opportunities means affordable healthcare. Yeah, that's why you always have to listen to those fluff words when they come in, when they talk about the issues and they answer the questions. You really have to like take yourself out of the passion of being angry and listen to what they say, because there's a bigger picture that they're trying to cover up always. So Right? I'm like, who is this motherfucker?
Where the African American community has experienced a disproportionately adverse amount of the pain and the suffering and the death. Because we
No, you're good, DPRK. I'm for violence. I'm raised in the streets. Access, yeah, exactly. Access to healthcare. Just shove it. Exactly, Lana.
Fortunately, poorly positioned in advance of COVID-19, and we're overrepresented among essential workers. So while others are being asked to stay home and socially distance themselves, people from our community are going out, working on these frontline jobs, then coming back home to their neighborhoods, their communities, their families, pose an increased risk of infection. I say all that to say, we face a complex series of challenges connected to the once in a century COVID-19 pandemic. And you layer on top of that the systemic racism issues that we continue to grapple with, what we should expect.
Oh, yeah, no, yeah, absolutely. That's what everybody, what am I going to do? I mean, what are they going to do if somebody gets mad at me for being okay with, certain kinds of violence? Not like killing people kind of violence, but like fucking just get, torches and pitchforks and fucking be done with this shit. There's got to be a way to do it where violence is okay. We all go around talking about, guillotine and eat the rich and shit like that. And that's a form of violence and we're okay with that. There's a difference. I mean, I'm not okay with like murdering people or like, making sure, a certain whatever group dies or anything like that. But there's got to be a point where, what do you call it? It's like civilized confrontation just doesn't seem to work anymore. And you got to start getting angry and use your outside voice, like before the internet ever came around and people were now, keyboard warriors and sitting behind their computers being able to talk crap. Back in the day, we used to just go find the person and we'd fight them and it'd be over with. That's kind of like, I'm a little bit of an elder millennial. I didn't get really into the internet until my mid to late 20s. So in my lifetime, anytime I had a problem or somebody had a problem with me or somebody was doing something that I couldn't handle anymore physically, like it was like turning in my stomach, just go fight them and get it over with. Like, I don't approve of that, like super violence, like killing people, but there's got to be a point where every fucking politician that's in office has never been in a fight before. If you have been in fights and you know what fights are like, you can tell that every single one of these people in office are nerds who have never fucking fought a day in their life. Put them in a fucking ring with Logan Paul for a day. Please, just once, just so they can see, like, there's motherfuckers out here that are gonna wreck your ass if you don't fucking help us out. I'm tired of the niceties. I'm tired of being civil. Me personally, at least, I'm tired of being civil. I'm tired of being nice to these assholes who keep repeating the same shit over and over again, expecting us to believe them every time. They're fucking psychopaths, and somebody needs to take them into a ring for about 6 minutes and beat the living shit out of them. And if it's going to be me, please, because I'm pretty sure I can whoop every single one of those guys' asses in politics, because I bet you none of them know how to fucking fight. Maybe the dude with the eye patch, maybe him, but that's about it. That's it. And I'm not saying I'm okay for violence. I'm just saying that somebody needs to take these politicians into a fucking ring and beat their ass really quick. Somebody needs to gain some cauliflower ear to grow some humbleness in the fucking office, for sure. Thank you. Yeah, they need to be afraid of us, even if we have no intention of actually harming anyone. That's the point. These guys are just like, they've never been in a fight, so they're in power now, so they're like, I'm never going to be in a fight. So now it's like the revenge of the nerds. I can say whatever I want to now because I'm in control. Like, we're living the end of you know, the revenge of the nerds. That this is what we're fucking living, and somebody needs, you know, whoever isn't afraid to fight. Like, I'm not saying bullies need to go and fight these guys, but somebody who's not afraid to fucking fight, who knows some street smarts, definitely needs to be like, yo, I'm fucking sick of this. And I am waiting for my group of people to find me that think that way, because there is just no one out there that thinks this way. They're always like how you were saying, DPRK. As soon as somebody gets all angry, they're like, be careful, we're against violence. Fuck that shit. Let's fucking get angry. Let's get fucking mad at these motherfuckers because they fucking need to listen to us, because they're never going to do anything that we want them to do if we fucking don't. We've proved that time and time and time again. What are they going to do now? Arrest us for fighting them? Send me to fucking jail for a few weeks. Give me 2 hots and a cot. I've been there before. I don't care. I'll go to jail over it. Fuck it. Send me to jail. At least I got to fucking pop you. Did you see that girl that slapped fucking Macron? Good for her. She fucking slapped him right in the face. Awesome. He fucking deserves it. Sorry. Thank you, Sherry. Yes, Lana, absolutely. More than welcome to. Yes, of course. I hope I didn't make you mad.
To do is to enact a transformational agenda that brings about sustainable change. And so I think that has to be the top line approach. And then we can get into the issues, which of course need to involve police reform, criminal justice reform. But also, I think we need to really deal with economic empowerment issues anchored in the history of having been excluded from a variety of different things that were designed to create a level playing field. Going all the way back initially to the Reconstruction era, which involved both prohibiting slavery pursuant to the 13th Amendment, equal protection under the law pursuant to the 14th Amendment, and then guaranteeing the right to vote, at least theoretically, regardless of race, connected to the 15th Amendment. But the other part of Reconstruction was the economic empowerment of the newly freed slaves, the creation of what was called the Freedmen's Bank, the effort to try to provide access to land and opportunity. We were promised 40 acres and a mule. In many of our communities, we were flooded with 40 ounces and a blunt. So Reconstruction was short-circuited. And then you got 2 other examples. During the Great Depression, Jim Clyburn talks about this a lot. Part of FDR's plan to revive America and take us out of the Great Depression was the New Deal. African Americans were systematically excluded from the New Deal participation because the boys from the Jim Crow South, who were Dixiecrats, Democrats, wouldn't pass New Deal legislation unless there was exclusion of African Americans. And then finally, when we came back after World War II, and we know African Americans participated like all Americans, the greatest generation collectively, and then came back and America built the biggest middle class in the history of the world. Part of that success was connected to the GI Bill and the opportunities that were created educationally and in terms of employment from the GI Bill. African Americans were excluded from the GI Bill. And so our opportunity to begin to participate in the American economy didn't really start until the aftermath of the 1960s, which people call the Second Reconstruction. So unless we pursue change with intentionality anchored in this history, we're going to miss the moment. And I think we're committed.
See, he even knows his own history. He gets it. He totally understands his own history, but he's never going to change anything. This is what they do. Like, wow, you're really pumping up the black base for nothing right now, just to let them down even more. And Charlemagne the God's probably going to sit there and listen and give him praise. I don't even want to watch the rest of it. I got 5 more minutes left. I'm over it. Exactly. He's brainwashed by Nancy. Absolutely is. He's a Obama 2.0 to me. So fuck Balenciaga. Did you watch my clip from yesterday? Loud Kid. Definitely F Balenciaga for sure. After what they did, what I saw yesterday, definitely. But I'm gonna definitely head out of here now. I think that's good. If you guys want to watch the rest of the Hakeem Jeffries interview on the Breakfast Club, I can put it in. Oh, you did see it? Okay, Loud Kid. Awesome. Thank you for coming by. Good to meet you. He's a windful pawn of the establishment. Yes, absolutely. Like I said, Obama 2.0. But he knows the things that are going wrong for his own people, but he's never going to change it. That just goes to show, like, they can acknowledge that their own people are dealing with generations of suffering and austerity and bullshit, but you're about to be House Speaker and you're not going to do shit. You're just going to pander to the Democratic line and the status quo, and nothing's ever going to change. So you're going to go join me on Twitch? Okay. Let me pull up Twitch right now so we can go and raid Miss... Is it Creator Dash? No, not Creator Dashboard. So we can go... God damn it. I keep doing it the wrong way. Miss Nikki. It is Creator Dashboard, right? No? How do I get to my video? I always do this to myself on Twitch. Broadcasting. My VOD storage is changing channel. No? All right, cool. You're here, Les Bones. Whoop-de-whoop. All right, I'm trying to get into the Creator Dashboard so I can... There it is, manage stream. They updated Twitch, so it's super, super new now. If you guys want to head over to the Twitch channel, that way we can give Nikki some raids. We'll hook her up right now. There's Nikki. God, she's already got 25 people watching her. She's a goddamn rock star. That's what I'm talking about. I will be back on tomorrow. I probably won't be on for the Thanksgiving holiday itself. Twitch, you're down? Okay. Here, let me okay, I already sent them over there. But I will be on tomorrow. I won't be on Thanksgiving Day. I'm going to take the day off just to clean up my house, go eat something, go do something, just have a nice day off. So I'm definitely going to take Thursday off, but I will be back on Friday for the show. On Thursday, I do know that Warren will be live streaming on his channel. I think he's going to be live streaming all day. Doing gaming stuff. So definitely want to go hang out and check him out. I'm trying to talk him into joining me for gaming on my games, but I think I might join him for his games. I think he was going to play like some No Man's Sky. So maybe I might join him on that. I think he wants to play some GTA as well, which I have GTA online. I've just never played it online before, so I have no idea what to expect. So we might play on there together. Just go and check them out tomorrow. Keep your eye out for the clips today. They should be pretty short. I tried something new today where I didn't want to talk about the clips too long to maybe shorten them up a little bit for the show later on. To kind of test the algorithms on YouTube. You know how I am. I'm obsessed with trying to figure out computer algorithms. So I'm going to be releasing those today, and they're a little bit shorter. So hopefully, you know, people will be a little bit more interested in that. You stand with me if you're going to stand up for what exactly, if you stand up for what's right and what's wrong. Yes, definitely talk to you later. Anytime, just within the next 2 hours when I get off right now, all I'm going to be doing is sitting on the computer clipping up stuff. So if you want to get a hold of me within the next 2 hours, I'll definitely be open. I'm just going to sit here on my computer. So definitely up for a talk. Thank you, Cape Socialist, for coming. Good to see you from South Africa. I hope you guys are doing all well out there. I hope to see you guys all soon. Thank you, Cape Socialist, Lana, Loud Kid. Thanks for stopping by and saying hi. You must be new, so thank you very much. I super appreciate it. Mario Vargas, thank you for coming by. That's me. KRTD is in there. Sherry, good to see you. Bye, Sherry. I love you. All my other amazing women, DPRK Socialist, thank you for the videos today. I appreciate it. I want to be able to find you on another social media platform. So if you want to send me some more stuff to be able to talk about, I'm always down to get new stuff from the audience members because I'm only one person. I can only, you know, keep up with one thing at a time. And it's very hard to keep up with everything. So if you've got anything you want to send my way, please absolutely get a hold of me. If you want to, let me put this up right here. Can you see that? No, you can't see that. Right here, the Jimmy Saves World. That's my name on Twitter. If you guys want to find me over there and let me know of any videos or whatever you want me to cover on my show. Like I said, I'm always down to have somebody help me out with the stuff on my show. So for sure. Let's see. Can we chat for a few minutes? Yeah, absolutely. Anytime you want, Lana. Anytime today you want, just let me know. Or just give me a call and I will answer the phone for sure. So keep your eye out for videos today. Tomorrow is going to be Warren's all day live streaming. And then I will be back on Friday. So I will see you all tomorrow. And I hope you guys have a really great week and stay violent.